This episode of the GameOverGreggy Show is brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter our offer code KINDAFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. Some of that reading was shaky. Nobody tell Colin. Squarespace, set your website apart. What's up, everybody? It's me, Greg Miller, and today's GameOverGreggy Show is brought to you by Movement Watches. Kevin, hit it. I'm going to a wedding this weekend. I'm wearing my Movement watch. There, look at that's a good zoom, Kev. Good job. Let me tell you about Movement watches, ladies and gentlemen. First off, they're a great holiday gift. Don't be silly. Movement watches start at just $95 at a department store. You're looking at $400 to $500. Movement figured out that by getting rid of all the middlemen and selling online and getting rid of that retailer markup, they can get you the best possible price. They have classic design, quality construction, and stylized minimalism. There's over 500,000 watches sold in more than 160 countries. You can get $15 off today with free shipping and free returns by going to movementwatches.com/Greggy. This watch has a really clean design. Honestly, I get talked about all the time. At the wedding, I think the bride might leave her man and come home with me. I'm just kidding, Jen. That won't happen. Anyways, go to movementwatches.com/Greggy. That's MVMTwatches.com/Greggy. Join the movement. Like a laser. Can you make a laser come out of it, Kev?
Morph. Remember when he said that a bunch of times? You're like, why does he like Morph so much?
They wanted us to like Morph, that's why.
Morph. Morph. Do you remember that?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Greg. Morph.
You did a very astute
Do you have the morph part? Was that recorded, or is that?
Oh, yeah, it's for sure recorded.
All right, just put the fucking intro on it and let it go into the morph thing.
Morph. Like, why was he was super into him? It was like really
They're
sad.
friends.
That
They're
Morph,
mutants, man. Wolverine understands
Yeah,
the
and
morph
then
pride.
comes back like way later when he's fighting like Mr. Sinister. It was weird.
Spoilers on that one. Over here, the pure one, Tim Gettys. This is a beautiful shirt.
Sometimes
It
Tim
is a
looks
beautiful shirt. If you're listening to the show, the day it goes live for Patreon users, you can get this shirt over on kindafunny.com/store because it's our Black Friday shirt. Yeah, there you go, Kev. That looks good. It's black on black.
There you go. Thank you.
The Jay-Z.
Because I was going to say, you led with if you're listening. And I was like, oh, he's going to explain this shirt for people who can't see it. And then you're just like, buy this shirt.
Now, if you're listening or watching on Friday, that this is on Patreon, cool. Or if not, if you're listening to topic 1 on the Monday on the YouTube, the Kind of Funny Thanksgiving weekend
Shirt extravaganza.
shirt extravaganza. I was going to say shirtacular.
Shirtacular?
Oh, save that one for later though.
Yeah,
Definitely.
the shirt extravaganza is still going on, so you can get a whole bunch of the classic Kind of Funny shirts over at kindafunny.com/store. This one might still be there. It's limited edition. I don't know how long it lasts. They didn't give
Till
me a
they're out.
number. Yeah, it's still there.
Like Kinda Casual.
They have a dope ass thing. It says there's no way you can see this, but
It says
my
limited edition
tag,
on the inside.
It says limited edition.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There you go. There you go. Thanks, Kev. That's right.
Kind of crooked.
Kind of crooked. That's our next site. Colin Moriarty off celebrating Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so, we often bring in guests.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing the patreon.com/kindoffunny exclusive for the GameOverGreggy Show. Have lately been one-on-one. When somebody's not here for a full-on show, we usually bring in a guest. But I wanted to get intimate with you two.
We've
guys.
done it, just the three of us before.
It's been a long time.
It has,
though.
but it's always fun. It's a different dynamic.
Exactly.
Shake it up a little bit.
Shake it up a little
Shake it
bit. Shake it up.
Shake it up.
Do this.
Do that piss shake, you know what I
Speaking
mean?
of shake it up, did you see? So months ago, maybe a year ago at this point, there was the Drake and Taylor Swift commercial, where it's Taylor Swift running on the treadmill,
Yeah,
listening
for
to
yeah,
Drake in Future,
yeah.
and then like she falls,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like Do you love music? I don't remember what the fuck.
Apple Music, I think. Yeah.
Is it
right?
Apple Music?
I thought so. Something
Maybe.
iPod? No.
Some shit. I don't know. Whatever. They made the flip version of it where it's Drake working out, singing Taylor Swift.
Oh, that's
It's
cute.
Awesome.
That's really cute. I like what they did there.
Yeah, it was bad blood, but
You
Shake
like
It
Bad
Off.
Blood now?
I went off. I was segueing because we were talking about shaking it off.
Sure.
It's been a while since I've heard "Shake It Off."
Yeah.
You want to stop the show and
song.
listen to it right now?
Maybe, but
Yeah.
I'll do it later.
I remember the first time I heard that.
Do you?
That was a moment. I remember the first time I heard "We're Never Getting Back Together" either. And I was in the car. I was like, "This sounds like Taylor Swift," and then it was, and I was like, "What the fuck? There's new music from Taylor Swift. What's happening? How did I miss this?" I follow her on all the Instagrams and the social medias.
Yeah.
Where was it?
They just drop shit out of the blue now. They don't like they're so big they don't need promotion anymore. They're just like, hey, my
Too big
Instagram
to
is
fail.
bigger than everyone else's
Motherfuckers,
shit.
yeah, just don't even
It's
give
wild.
a shit. Macklemore comes out with his album last year. Okay, comes out with this thing, has all the songs, he's dropping all the singles, doing all that stuff. Album's been out a couple months. It's not even that old. He's already dropped 2 songs that aren't even on that album. Just bam, here you go. Here you
Single-
go. There's
it's the
music
single life,
videos and
man.
everything. It is the single life.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Yeah.
Craziness.
If you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy show each and every week. 3, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where we put the entire thing up early as an MP3 and a video and a whole bunch of other exclusive perks, goodies, and tiers are there for your amusement. If you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we post the entire show, topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big MP3 and video. Tim,
Yeah.
what's your topic?
My topic is predicting superhero movies. Way over a year ago at this point. It was
We
a
had this, I remember this. We had a printout.
long time ago. We had a printout with a whole bunch of movie posters, and we were looking at the future of what was then the future of superhero movies and kind of predicting which ones are going to be good, which ones are going to be bad, which ones are going to perform
Not
well,
even
which
happen.
ones are not going to perform well, which ones aren't going to happen.
Because I remember saying Fantastic Four is going to be garbage. Fantastic Four 2 is not going to happen. Greg was right. Hashtag
Greg was
Greg was
motherfucking
on
right.
that.
So pretty much the reason I wanted to bring this up for this specific GOG show is because Colin's not here.
Yes.
Sure.
Colin doesn't really like these topics and doesn't really,
Like
I can tell you what Colin would say. They're all going to fucking suck and the bottom's going to fall out and anything else?
No, that's right. That's accurate.
That's pretty much it.
Those are the 2 big talking
Yeah,
points for
exactly. So
It can't go on. He doesn't even say that yet. He's like, the bomb's going to drop out. It's like, well, it's been going forever. And it's like zombies. Zombies have been going forever too.
yeah, they're still going.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're even, whatever. So
God, Marvel zombie movies. When's that?
oh,
Marvel zombie movie
zombies.
indeed.
Yeah.
Damn.
We're going to get there.
I know.
So a couple takeaways that we had last time were we were sure the Marvel movies were going to be fine. We were a little trepidatious about Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy.
God, this was done
Interesting. That
pro.
was a
This
while
was
ago.
before Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
We
are old.
If I remember correctly, we've done this topic ish twice. One was
Okay.
officially, and I think that was after Guardians.
Okay.
But there was another time we did it and we mentioned Guardians and being like, I don't know.
Okay.
This seems like it couldn't work.
Wow.
But we were still like, we were positive about it. We're like, we'll give it a shot.
Sure.
Like, but Ant-Man, we're like, I don't know. Like, we really don't give a fuck about Ant-Man. When it got to Doctor Strange, we're like, Doctor Strange, get the fuck out of here with your magic bullshit. But we were proven to be stupid for being so worried.
Yes.
They nailed it with all those movies. Then on the other
Ant-Man
side of
was
that,
fine.
though,
Ant-Man was the first one that I felt was like a by the numbers thing.
You're crazy.
Ant-Man
It
good.
was fun. Paul Rudd is awesome.
You're
The
crazy.
villain was garbage.
It wasn't bad,
The
and it
story
performed
was
well.
like whatever. Fine. Exactly. Yeah. But are we just going by the blockbuster? Then the Transformer movie should win Best Picture.
No, but I said it wasn't bad. And it did well. It's both of those because on the flip side, there's the DC movies, which great, they did well. And they pretty much all went exactly how we predicted they would. Suicide Squad being the thing that I'd say we were most off about
fucked
because
up on
we
that
were
one.
like, it has a chance of being really good. No, it didn't.
No, it turned out to be the worst one.
That chance went away
worst
real
one.
quick.
Yeah, if I spoke positively about that, I was just trying to be nice because I thought from day one, looking at that trailer, I'm like, this is not going to be a good movie. Like, this is not going to be good. And I think I remember saying that.
It's true. Nick talked a lot of shit about the trailers.
I
You
looked
didn't
at him
the
and I was
one-liners?
like, I don't
You didn't
like the
Harley
one
Quinn?
Like, none of the one-liners hit. I thought that Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn didn't hit. Like, none of it sold me in the trailer that this was going to be like a team that actually mixed well chemistry-wise. And I was right. I was unfortunately right because I wanted that movie to be good. I wanted it to be a lot better than it. I heard there's an extra 30 minutes of that movie that I could see right now.
Oh yeah, totally. The
that I should
extended
just
cut,
go
a lot
out.
of
That's,
Jared Leto stuff.
yeah, great.
Longer scene of him fighting
Fantastic.
Batman on
Actually,
the car.
I thought he was the best part of the movie.
I
but-
agree. Yeah, I liked him a lot.
But
But yeah, so
we're in the minority.
we all agreed that Fantastic Four was going to suck
Yeah.
and that there wouldn't be a Fantastic Four 2. And that seems to be the truth, although we don't know.
See, I didn't think it was going to suck that badly, though. I didn't realize it was going to be that big of a train wreck. Now, I watched Fantastic Four, the one you're talking about, the Miles Teller Fantastic Four and Michael B. Jordan. It's not that the movie was terrible. It's just that it wasn't very much fun, and you can see that it was one of those, we need to come save this movie. So I watched that, and I'm like, I watched it after they already canceled Fantastic Four 2. But had I seen that in the theaters, I would have sworn, I'm like, this is probably going to make enough money to warrant a sequel.
Really?
And it wasn't that terrible. It wasn't any, in my opinion, any more or less entertaining than the other two Fantastic
Well, that's not saying much.
Four.
Fantastic Four. Jessica Alba.
Yeah, Jessica Alba films.
Michael
where she's wearing the
Chiklis.
bad
Wig.
contacts.
And the
Michael
bad
Chiklis is-
the contacts were terrible.
Yeah, it was very weird. So yeah, I mean that was unfortunate. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like, for this year up until this point, I didn't think Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be. I thought that was a wild card. Could be fun because you gotta love Chris Pratt. Would have swore that Doctor Strange was going to go the way of Thor in the Dark World, but it did not. It went the way of Iron Man, which was awesome. Yeah. So where are we at now?
Well, so then the other thing that we were talking about was the X-Men movies, and that was one where I'm not going to say we were wrong, but we weren't right.
We
What
didn't
were we saying
know about Apocalypse back then, though.
We did.
We knew it was coming.
We did.
We,
That's the
and
thing.
I think people were looking forward to
We gave it the surefire, like, it's going to be good. And it was.
Bryan Singer's back on track.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Is like,
X-Men Universe
that's
is
where
back
it's
on
like,
track.
I'll give us partial credit.
Vaughn.
But we didn't expect it to be bad, and we definitely didn't expect the Fox movies to have another like fail point, and they definitely did.
Here's the thing about Apocalypse. We've all seen Apocalypse. Did
Not
you
yet.
see it in theaters?
I did.
Did you see? You haven't seen
I
it,
haven't seen
period.
it.
I saw it on a plane, as I watch all my movies,
Sure.
and I didn't think it was that bad. Don't get me wrong, not good, but people were talking about it as if it was bad on the level of Fantastic Four on Batman and Robin. kind of crap.
No,
There's so
no.
much hyperbole now. I get not liking Batman vs Superman, totally. But when people were like, it's worse than Batman and Robin, I'm like, that is bullshit. That's impossible.
Very few things are worse than Batman and Robin. When I liked Apocalypse. It just wasn't as fun and cool as the two that followed. That's the problem. Is like inevitably they were on track to make really good movies, and one of them was going to be not as good as the other ones. This one just kind of failed by such a wide margin that I think that it was very apparent that they're starting to derail very quickly. But the concept was cool, and the implementation was cool. It's just the third act kind of fails, whereas I feel like the third act of Days of Future Past and First Class was really strong and fun
Yeah.
and really gave you kind of a sense of where those characters were going.
Well, this one failed enough to drastically change the path that Fox superhero movies are going. There's rumors of them kind of rebooting the X-Men franchise
Yeah.
entirely. There's a chance, we're crossing our fingers here, that they could work with Marvel like Sony did with Spider-Man
so
to get that all going. So anyway, that's kind of the tone that we're at here. Is like we kind of predicted that a lot of the DC movies may or may not happen depending on how well Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad do. They both did really well commercially, did not do well critically. So we're kind of in the middle on that.
12 hours ago, Collider reported, I saw this when we were reading some other thing on Colin Moriarty Live today, Avengers and X-Men crossover is an impossibility, says Marvel's Kevin Feige. Much like how Disney and Sony made a pact to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, some fans have been hoping for something similar regarding 20th Century Fox's X-Men and the Fantastic Four. The future of the Cinematic Mutants is a bit murky at the moment, and it's even worse for Marvel's first family. Unfortunately, Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige put the brakes on the chatter in a recent interview. Speaking with Variety about the potential crossover, he said, quote, "It's an impossibility at this juncture. We certainly have enough films to keep us busy for a number of lifetimes."
At this juncture. But I mean, everyone said it
I
was an
know.
impossibility.
I
for
remember when it
Spider-Man
was supposed to be crazy for Spider-Man. I'm just
Yeah.
putting it
It was
out
like,
there.
hey, we had a bad
just so
quarter.
the comments got it all.
And the thing with the Spider-Man thing is like that happened like overnight, where it went from an impossibility to, well, we're doing it and there's partnerships. So that's the thing is like he is correct. Marvel has way too much on their plate. But if Kevin were to oversee Fox making its movies and putting that in part of the universe as the reboot, I think they can make that happen.
Sure.
But it's
I mean, it's all a matter of money. It's all a matter
Yep.
of that share. Who's going to get
Well,
what?
honestly, what I read between the lines on that with the quote I just read, right, is the fact that I think he's saying he's taking a shot across the bow. Where I bet Fox is trying to play hardball of like, you want this and you need this. And he's like, we could fucking make another 4,000 movies and never need X-Men. I'm sure
Yeah.
they would love to have them, but they don't need them.
And also, the other thing to keep in mind is Deadpool had not happened yet when we did our last topic, and
Well,
we
that's
we
a good one to talk about now.
We
though.
all expected that to be great, and it was, and it did super well.
I
Enough
expected it to
again,
be good. I didn't expect it to be like the best R-rated movie of all time. Like as far as the box office is concerned, I mean, I think it is the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
And that was another paradigm shift with all those movies, where now Logan is also coming out rated R.
Won't be as
because
good
of
as
that.
Deadpool.
Because
I
of that
know it
movie.
won't be as
So,
fun, but it's gonna be dark. It's
Yeah,
gonna
it'll
be
be hopefully dark.
So, all right,
and
so
dirty
let's
and bloody.
go through this list here because there
Stewart
is
back in there.
a fuck ton
Yeah.
of superhero
A fuck ton of
movies
superhero
still
movies
to come.
And what are we talking about if they're going to be good? We're making our predictions again. This is your predictions episode.
Yeah, it's predictions of will it be good? Will it perform well? And of course, it's all relative. So will it perform well compared to the other movies in its franchise?
Okay.
And how will it change things going forward? And will it
face
even
of cinema.
happen or not? The next one up, and we're not talking about Incredibles or Power Rangers, which you could argue are superhero movies. We're talking about
DC, Marvel,
superhero
the
movies.
things.
The top two.
Lego Batman.
The
that's
Lego
gonna-
Batman movie looks
That's
awesome.
gonna kill. That's
Yeah.
gonna kill.
It's gonna kill. I think it's gonna be good. The trailer didn't sell me too
It
much.
sold me actually. Before the second trailer, the one we just saw when I saw Arrival.
Where he tears off his pants. He's like running.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the
second
same trailer. But there's something about seeing it on the big screen with the audience and everyone getting into it. I'm like, I'm into this. I'll watch this now.
Yeah, I
trailer-
love the Lego movie.
Yeah.
But Lego Batman, I'm like,
I want to love it. I love the stylish of it all, but something about the trailer, I'm with you. The beats aren't hitting exactly right. I think it's going to do really well, and I think it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I can't wait. That Lego Dimensions fun pack, or I'm sorry. That Lego Dimensions story pack, that looks fucking awesome.
They had me
Get
at
the little
the
Robin,
poster
get the
for
little
Lego
backer.
Batman when it said, "Always be yourself, unless you can be Batman," which I'm like, that's fucking genius.
yeah.
That's this year still? December? No.
No, it's February 10th, 2017. We're done this year.
No
for
one's going up
superhero
against
movies.
Rogue One in December.
Yeah, Rogue
They're
One
just like, screw it.
owning that shit.
We all agree that one's going to be garbage.
First off, now superhero movie. Second off,
I know. No,
fuck you
no,
and
no.
everything you stand for.
I'm just saying Gary Whitta wrote it. I'm kidding. I love Gary Whitta. Come back and eat your spotted dick. It's in my cupboard still, Gary.
Logan is the next superhero movie.
Yeah.
March 3rd, 2017. This is a tough one. So rated R, Hugh Jackman's last X-Men movie, or last movie as Wolverine.
Who's directing that?
Ooh,
I'll
don't
look it
know.
up. You guys keep talking.
Jessica Alba.
Yes.
But yeah, rated
Just,
R.
screw
It seems
I'm
to
gonna direct
be
movies now.
a movie that's in direct reaction to all of Apocalypse and all that, where they're like, all right, you know what? Let's get away from the timeline nonsense. This movie seems to be standalone enough and far ahead in the future. It's obviously going to be in one of the
Yeah, it's
timelines,
James
but
Mangold.
Yeah.
James Mangold?
James Mangold, yeah.
Who's that?
He did the Wolverine and Girl Interrupted,
did he?
310 to Yuma.
310 to Yuma I enjoyed.
He's a good director.
Oh, he did Walk the Line, too.
Yeah, he did Walk the Line. He's
Girl
a good
Interrupted,
director.
okay,
He
okay.
could do this.
This one is real hit or miss. I'm not sure.
Because they keep fucking up Wolverine movies.
Well, he did the good standalone Wolverine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible.
Exactly.
It wasn't X-Men Origins.
Yeah.
Where he's
I'll
like,
give
I'll
you
get
that.
shot with a magic bullet in the forehead and then suddenly can't remember shit, even though I have the regenerative process.
Through the head with this animatium bullet. How would that erase my brain? I just
Yeah,
have a bullet in my
well,
brain that I would
doesn't
heal
matter.
around,
Someone
right? That doesn't
take it out
This
and
isn't a
then my
very
brain would heal.
surgical procedure. I don't know why you're doing this.
Then I'm going to walk for a long time because that chick told me to walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Morph.
No. Yeah. Yeah, Logan, we've been burned so many times. I've been burned on the standalone Wolverine movies. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. The Wolverine looked awesome.
Yeah.
Right? It was supposed to be the Wolverine story we'd wanted
cool.
forever. And then, like you're always talking about, and you know that I'm not one of these film guys. I don't know all the film stuff. We got to the third act,
Yeah.
as you would say, where there's just a giant
And it
robot
makes no
samurai,
sense.
and it's like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is this? It was good up to
Yeah.
then. And then they cut the thing with him opening the box and having a suit in there. Leave the fucking scene in there. You remember this?
Yeah, I thought that wasn't that.
No, that was
Deleted
The
scene.
deleted scene.
Oh.
Give me what I want. Give me the yellow and brown suit.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't
It's
do
his
that.
it turned out that was gonna be his last one as Wolverine we know.
Right.
Because now Logan in some weird future. Weapon X in Apocalypse.
So I feel like it's going to be an interesting. I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I don't think they're going to be able to hit the level of intensity that they need to hit with that rated R movie because I just don't think that. I don't
the
know that
balls.
Jackman. What's that?
They have the balls to like.
Oh, I think they have the balls. I just think that Jackman's been playing that character for so long in a certain way that I just don't think. And this is me just judging off of the. You haven't seen it yet, but there's a scene, spoilers, with Weapon X in X-Men Apocalypse, and that's supposed to be intense. Granted, it was a PG-13 film, but it was supposed to be intense, and it comes off really like. It just doesn't come off as like as powerful and violent as it's supposed to be because I just don't feel like Jackman.
It was awesome. It was by far the best part of that movie.
It was cool, but I just feel like they need to, like, when I think of what a Wolverine movie should be, like, I think that it should be probably the most violent thing you ever see. Like, I feel like it should be on the level of like intensity and shock value as like RoboCop or something like that, right? Where you're like, fuck, that was messed up. Like, if
Yeah,
they're,
they just
if
cut
they're
off
ever
the
going to
guy's
do a
dick.
Weapon X story, like, it has to be so visceral and so fucked up. Like, it's a combination of RoboCop and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, right? Because that's what's happening in his brain. I just don't think that they're going to go there.
Yeah.
I'd like them to, but I just don't think they were going to. They
I mean,
would have
again-
when Darren Aronofsky was supposed to, remember back in the day, he was supposed to do the Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
That would have been fucking
That would've
insane.
You
been
figure, I
fucking
mean, they could
awesome.
learn and listen from all this, right? And like we get out of the Logan or the Jackman universe or whatever, they reboot it, and then okay, let's give them a very, very visceral thing. But it's the problem is that, for better or worse, the X-Men, the runaway most popular all the time is Wolverine.
Yeah,
and do
for
you really
sure.
want to cut that off and not
Can't
have
do it.
kids dressed as Wolverine
Yeah,
and buying
you
the
can't do
toys
it.
and doing all these different
Yeah.
things?
That's the problem. Like that character really warrants the sort of Walking Dead treatment, where it's like, let's take the kitty gloves off, let's make this fucked up, because that's Wolverine. He's a very flawed character. When you make him, and that's always been my problem with Hugh Jackman. It's not his fault. It's the direction of what they needed to do to market him. Is that he's always the happy. He's kind of like he's the PG-13 Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, the good news is they're literally changing the name to Logan. You know, it's like
Yeah.
literally this isn't Wolverine. This is Logan. So I think they're allowed to kind of go a little farther in terms of the kids, the parents getting pissed off or whatever, because it's a different character.
Sure.
And the trailer looks super awesome. I love the Last of Us vibe that it
Yeah.
has going, and I feel like it is grown up enough and different enough, and it seems like disjointed from the comic booky X-Men universe that I'm like, I believe in it. I do believe in it. It really, I think, depends on if it's good or not will depend on how well it does. It won't do as well as Deadpool, and so I think in that sense it'll be a commercial failure for Fox. Like, it's not
Right.
going to be the hit that they need it to be. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
want to
I agree.
believe. I just can't.
Next
Remember in Origins how bad his claws look?
Yeah, it was
when he
really
lives in the mirror like an idiot.
They weren't good.
CG. Guardians Volume 2, May 5th, 2017, with Kurt Russell as Ego.
Gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
Run away.
Enough said.
definitely believe in that.
I'm
one.
there. Midnight
James
showing.
Gunn, come on now, son.
The question is, can it come close to being as good and fun as Guardians of the Galaxy 1? And I think it can.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
So the thing is, Marvel doesn't have the best track record with sequels.
sequel of the ensemble
with
cast?
number 2 or
Yeah.
sequels of anything, really. Like, I think Captain America is the only sequel that was good.
Winter Soldier was a sequel, right?
Yeah.
And then 3 was Civil War.
Civil
right?
War. So Captain America, Winter Soldier, awesome. Iron Man 2, not so awesome. Thor 2, not so awesome.
Age of Ultron.
Age of
not so
Ultron,
awesome.
not so
Not
awesome.
so awesome.
So we'll see. But I
We'll
mean, it's still
see,
Guardians.
though, but I mean, I feel like they can do a lot more with Guardians.
That's
than
the
they can
thing
with
is,
that.
I think you still have James Gunn there. You still have the
Yeah.
cast there. They get what the humor is because they got to build it. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna have. You already know the soundtrack's gonna be fucking awesome. It's
gonna be awesome.
They're gonna have all these zany, wacky adventures, whatever, with jokes between each other. And I think it'll be that. Like, you already see some of it where it's I forget his name, Rooker's character, the blue guy with the mohawk or whatever, who can whistle and shoot the thing around, interacting with them and actually being out
Yeah,
there. So
being
there's a
one of
new-
the team
There's
members.
a new dynamic there. Now Groot's the small guy. Like, I think they're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I think they have so many fun toys in that box to play with. It's gonna be cool because it wasn't to compare it. You mentioned group ensembles and did your little Nick wink. You know what I mean? There it is. The thing here is that watching Guardians wasn't the same as watching Avengers. Whereas when they do this, we always talk about when they spin around the Avengers, the group shot, you're like, here we are, finally here after all these years. Whereas with Guardians, from the get-go, you're like, who are any of these fucks?
fuck are these
And then they
people?
all
Yeah.
got together and you're like, okay, great. But it wasn't like, I was like, oh man, the best part of Guardians is when they got together and fought that thing. It was when they went off and did crazy ass shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Wonder Woman, June 2nd, 2017. Directed by Patty Jenkins. As far as I know, first female-directed superhero movie.
Okay. I know for DC for sure. I'm not sure about Marvel, but I think that's correct. That sounds right.
That sounds right.
Kev's nodding his head. He's got all the world's knowledge at his fingertips, but he's gonna nod and pick his nose a little bit. That's what he's gonna do.
He's not looking.
You're my favorite, Kev.
I'm cautiously looking forward to this film. I'm cautiously not apprehensive. What's the opposite of apprehensive?
Optimistic.
Thank you.
I'm cautiously apprehensive.
Apprehensive. I'm optimistic. I like the way the trailer looks. I'm a huge fan of both Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. Is that how you say it?
Gadot.
Gadot. Never say your name right. That's how big of a fan I am of hers. It looks fun. It looks cool. The action looks good. I mean, I'm sure the story is very predictable, but the trailer got me, and that's something that DC movies up until this point haven't yet. Well, fuck, no, I take that back. I'm sorry. Every DC movie's trailer has gotten me up to this point, with the exception of
Suicide
Squad,
Squad,
yeah,
which I
you
thought
said.
was just going to be a pile of dookie. But
Yeah, I'm interested in Wonder Woman. I'm more excited for it than I am a lot of the other DC movies at this point, but I don't think it's going to be good. I wanted to. I think it has a chance at being good. I don't think it has a chance of being great, and that's a worry.
I think it has a chance of being the first good, like start to finish, okay, well put together DC film.
See, I feel like at best it's going to be as good as Man of Steel.
That's not bad though. Man of Steel wasn't a bad movie. Like everyone has to stop giving that movie so much hate. It just wasn't excellent. It wasn't what the trailer led us to believe.
It wasn't the Superman movie you expected it to be. That was the problem.
Like that was the problem. If I had seen that in a vacuum where I'm like, oh, Superman movie, cool, and I just started watching it, I'm like, that was pretty cool. I've watched it 3 times. Yeah. Every time I get to that part where he's like, a good death is its own reward. I'm like, I don't understand why any of this is happening. Like, why did but cool, and then it gets to the end and I'm like, he saved her. Great. I'm gonna get some popcorn.
You get the popcorn after the movie?
I get popcorn all the way through, baby, all the way through. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there, but I think Wonder Woman's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun movie. I think it's going to build nicely into the DC movies, and I think we'll remember this one hopefully with fondly a year from now when we go back and do this again.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm very impressed by the fight choreography in both the trailers. I've been
cool.
Holy shit! Like the action looks like it's shot different and choreographed different than anything else we've seen, which I think goes a long way because these movies at this point we've seen it all. So to see something new is nice, but the humor I'm not down with. Like the zinger at the end of the trailer. Where it's just like,
I like the first
how are you
zinger.
supposed to fight in this? And then she's like, oh, I like the fisticuffs.
Little fisticuffs
Shut the
every once
fuck
in a
up.
while.
I like the first one.
Why is this in the movie?
The first one when they did the whole like that's slavery or whatever. Oh, I like her, and they walked away. In the first Wonder Woman trailer, I enjoyed. I was like, oh, that's a good zinger, a good stinger, as they say. And then the fighting one at the end, there I was like, why do we force this? Why are we forcing this one right here?
Yeah,
I'm terrified about Wonder Woman because it's either going to go 1-1. I'm concerned on the level that I feel. They learned their lesson with Batman v Superman. Okay, that was too dark. People didn't want that. We need to have some fun with this. But Wonder Woman was already in production, nearly done by that point. So are they fucked and they're trying to shove reshoots in it? Or are they going to just let it ride? Or maybe it never was that dark, but who knows? And then the trailers for me personally don't excite me. I'm not. I mean, I love Wonder Woman. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be there. I love DC, obviously, but nothing about him are making. I mean, the fights look cool. I like her outfit. I like Gal. I like Chris Pine. But even watching them interact, I'm just like, all right. Yeah. Whatever. I'm not a big fan of this setting. I'm not a big fan of Wonder Woman's origin in general. I've never really seen it well done as a comic book reader, I feel. I've never read a book and been like, oh man, yes. But then again, it's just because I just don't think I care about gods and goddesses and, all this stuff and Zeus and like magic is always such a holdup for me at both universes.
They have your theme song though.
Dun, dun, dun. So, I mean, I'm stoked for that, but I also bet what's going to happen is it'll be the first good DC movie that everyone universally agrees, and I won't like it. I'll just be like, didn't work for me.
Really?
This sucks. I can't be on board with anything.
I think you'll like it. I think all of us are going to watch it and be like, that was good. That was cool.
My main thing is I worry about being shell shocked, and now I'm just like very, like you're saying, cautiously apprehensive about everything. Where it's like, I don't know, man. Like what you think? I think DC nails the trailers. Trailers they generally nail for all these movies. Where I watch those trailers, I'm like, fuck, that was awesome. I can't wait for this.
So for me, like. When I watched the original Batman v Superman trailer, I was like, something's off here, right? And I knew that movie was going to be a little bit of a jumbled mess. Like there were great scenes.
We knew
in
that
it,
from the announcement,
right? I mean, great scenes in it, but then you see the trailer and you're like, there's just a lot of stuff going on in here, and a lot of these elements don't mix. Like to put it in a cooking analogy, it's like just throwing everything in the kitchen that you possibly can into a pot and hoping to God it tastes good, and then the trailer is just a little bit of spoon that you put in front of Tim, and he does that thing where he looks like a cat, where he's like. No, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. Suicide Squad, we obviously saw. Everyone saw the trailer, and you were stoked about it.
Your revisionist history on this Suicide Squad trailer, we were all like, that looked fun.
No, he's not. He was never down.
No, I know, but he said everybody for a second there. I'm saying, I'm dialing it back here, Chief.
But what I'm saying is, I look at the Wonder Woman trailer, I'm like, this looks like at least a cohesive film.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like it's going to have a definitive beginning, middle, and an end. There's one character that we have to worry about. And Chris Pine, who is going to be the love interest, which is good. It's fun to see that role reversal. And the action looks cool. That's all I need. Really, that's all I need. Like, I'll put it on. It's probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, the best we can hope for. It's going to be Thor.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with
honestly,
that.
Honestly, that is the best we can hope for.
Yeah. And I liked Thor. I'd like to see that chemistry. We'll see how it goes.
I think the fact that it looks like so much like Captain America to me, and I wasn't a big Captain America fan, it's just like, yeah, right.
I wasn't either for Cap 1.
Yeah. It had its moments, and I liked, you know what I mean? Like, it did a good job of establishing who Captain America was.
Spider-Man Homecoming,
Fuck
July 7th. Hell yeah. I think that's going to do super fucking well. And I think it's going to be a good movie as well.
I'll say it right now. There's no way it can be bad.
Wow.
Why would you say that?
I think so
It's
too.
going to
I
be
agree.
awesome. Tom Holland is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The Spidey suit is awesome. They seem like they're nailing everything about it.
They're going the spectacular route. They're killing
We all
it.
know
What does
it's
that mean?
The
It's
inferior route.
the age, high school.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
My question for you, Tim, as the biggest Spider-Man
Aficionado.
fan in the house, do you think this is like, okay, finally we're going to be on the right, a train as far as Spider-Man is concerned, because we've rebooted this already twice. Do you think this is it? Like third time's the charm?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's under Kevin Feige. That's all that I need to know to believe in this. And we've already seen this character.
Yeah.
We've already seen him in the world.
so good
and
in
it's
Civil War.
fantastic. Everything about it's like, oh shit, this is what Spider-Man should be, which is something that the Sam Raimi movies, God bless them for their time. Even Spider-Man 2. People love Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2
I
is a great movie.
loved Spider-Man 2. I no longer love Spider-Man
Yeah,
2.
you've gone back and
Watching
watched it
now,
recently.
I mean, now that we've gotten so much other stuff, I'm like,
It's hard. It's very dated.
it's very hard. And also, it's just like Tobey Maguire at no point was Peter Parker. Never. Spider-Man in those movies at no point was Peter Parker Spider-Man. He was just the guy that had Spider-Man's powers. Like it had all the drama and it had all the his fight with Harry and Mary Jane and like the dynamics between there. Like, cool, you got the drama down, but they never nailed the fun ever. Whereas I think the Andrew Garfield.
It's confusing.
Not Goldfarb. Movies were setting that up. Those movies could have been fucking spectacular if they weren't trying to build a universe. That was the problem. They got way too ambitious.
Interesting. That's
They had to chase this thing of there's going to be a Sinister Six movie, then there's going to be a Venom movie,
Yeah.
then there's going to be a Mary Jane solo movie or Aunt May solo movie. Like it's like no. Stop. Just make a movie.
Yeah.
If they had just done that, I think those movies would have been great because he was fantastic. Peter Parker was more Peter Parker than he's ever been. The Spider-Man was making quips. The action was great.
Emma
Much
Stone
of it
was
was
great.
good. Emma Stone was fucking awesome. So much was good.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of went overboard.
See, it's so funny to me that you guys say that. Like, I remember watching the first one thinking, wow, they really nailed that. Like, I liked that movie a lot. And then the second one, I'm like, it was a sequel. Like, it was, 50% less than the other one, but I still enjoyed it. 50% is harsh. 20% less than the first one, which is to say probably disappointing for you guys. And then I came and like started looking at comments and talking to you, and you're like, I just don't like any of those movies. I'm like, I don't get it.
Not me. That's not my stance on those
Well, I
movies.
just mean, like,
I
you
like
don't-
those movies.
Okay, so you do like them.
I actually like them way more than anyone else does. Like me and Kevin, both of us agree that the
they're pretty good.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, it has its issues, and we're not blind to them. But I thought that it nailed the comic feel. Again, going back to Batman v Superman, the thing I liked about it is that it does feel like you're reading a comic book and like there's a bunch of cameos and this villain and these characters are here for a second and you don't need to understand why unless you've read their series as well.
Sure.
And it's a lot. But Amazing Spider-Man 2 felt like the 90s Spider-Man cartoon
Yeah,
in
I liked
that
that.
there was a million bad guys and Rhino's only here for 3 seconds and whatever. But it's like, it's
cool.
cool, but it doesn't make a good movie.
That was, I feel similar to Apocalypse, where I went and saw Amazing Spider-Man 1 in theaters too. And I remember when the lights came up being like, oh, that was fine. That was fun. But it should have been, I love Spider-Man so much. And it should have been for me a standout because I was such Spider-Man 1 and 2 fan of Sam Raimi's work. You know what I mean? Of like, and I read the comics, watched the cartoons, did all the stuff. Like I like Spider-Man. When the lights came up, I was like, oh, it sucks that was just another superhero film. It was fun, but I don't remember anything super positively. And so then I never saw 2 in theaters, heard everybody didn't like it, that it was going to fuck up the entire franchise. And then eventually watched it on an airplane. And I watched it and I was like, yeah, this was totally fun. It was just fine. Like it's not, I thought that but I understand that it was Jamie Foxx's, nerd is over the top nerdy and all this other shit. And it was like, he's fucking made electricity or whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the movies had a lot of flaws, but I think that what they nailed is the thing that's most important to me was that Andrew Garfield was fucking awesome as Peter Parker and Spider-Man together. And that is why I believe in these movies so much, because Tom Holland is also doing that. So hopefully these movies keep that up. So then next up is Untitled Fox Marvel film on October 6th. So what that
Not
means
happening on October 6th.
is it's either going to be an X-Men movie or a Fantastic Four movie or the Gambit movie or Deadpool something or other or
Isn't
whatever.
Channing Tatum supposed to be?
Channing Tatum is doing a Gambit movie. That's way down TBA. It was supposed to be last year, got pushed back to this year, then it got pushed to just TBA.
Right.
So we'll see if that ever happens.
This October Fox movie not happening. In a year they're gonna pull a superhero movie out of their ass. No way.
Yeah, not happening. Then Thor Ragnarok, November 3rd, 2017. I can't wait for that.
I'm excited.
That's the problem, right? Is that like Thor 1 and 2 were like, whatever, Thor. I don't really care.
Thor 1 I thought was surprising because I didn't give a fuck about Thor.
Yeah.
And I went out of that like, I kind of think Thor's okay.
Yeah, I like Thor.
I mean, sure. I kind of felt that way too. I mean, like I loved it when he smashed his beer, but it was just like weird. And it was also the same thing at the time, and that was like our first real introduction to magic as well in that universe, where like I'll never forget in that small town.
magic, it's science.
Shut up. In that town when the other 3 Norse gods were walking down the street, and I was like, that looks so fucking fake in the real world. The way they're, and I'm like,
That was also because of the way it was shot. I stand by the fact that as much as I love Kenneth Branagh as a Shakespearean actor and for his work and everything else he's done, I did not like the direction of that movie. But what I think where it excelled and where I'm excited to see if they can get back to is I love the chemistry between him and Natalie Portman. I thought that relationship, I was like, this is one of the best relationships I've seen in this universe up to this point. Granted, there was only 4 movies before it, but I love watching those two act on screen. I love Chris Hemsworth. Just take your shirt off and make out with Natalie Portman in front of me, and you get my money.
There you go. And also add the Hulk and potentially Doctor Strange.
and they're talking about it being like a buddy cop movie,
Buddy cop,
right?
Buddy
Or
Cop,
whatever. Like
and directed by the people that did When You're in Shadows.
Oh, the guy that did What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, What We Do in the
I can
Shadows.
never say his name, but he's fucking
What's
awesome.
the rumor? Isn't the rumor like the first 15 minutes there's no dialogue? It's Hulk getting shot into space or something, and then he lands and he runs, and then he runs around a corner and runs into Thor, and like that's the start of the movie.
Haven't heard that.
That's a rumor. I'll try. I'll do
That's
that.
fucking awesome.
Wait, are they doing like Planet Hulk style stuff? Or?
Yeah, this is an old rumor I'd heard.
It
Let me see
sounds
what I
like
can
it's inspired by that.
Oh, awesome. Well, that kind of makes sense, right? Because
Yeah.
the last time we saw him, he was like
Flying away.
flying himself away.
Justice League, November 2017. It's going to kill numbers wise. It's not going to get good reviews.
The trailer that stuff they released, I was like, this looks awesome. This is what I want to see. And I know that I'm totally the DC fanboy or whatever.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Batman v Superman. Take it with a grain of salt, whatever. But like that interaction between him and the Flash, I thought was awesome. The Aquaman confrontation, I'm like, I want to see all this play out.
This is my thing. I do too. Like, how much of it, Greg?
Yeah, I'm still trying to find my thing about the Thor thing.
How much of it do you think is that we're still reeling from the Nolan universe, and that people just don't understand the vibe of this? Versus granted, they haven't really nailed it that much, but like this will be the first one we see where it is that sort of like kind of plucky, like Affleck's you're not sure if he's trying to act or not the entire time, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I give him 2 more movies where I'm like, I get it. They Will Ferrell me, right? Where at first I didn't like Will Ferrell. I was like, I don't get this guy's humor. And then finally I watched Anchorman for like the 15th time, and I'm like, I get it. I get what they're going for here. He's
I have a
funny.
question for you, Tim.
Yes.
How many more superhero movies are on this?
There's a
shit?
lot.
74.
Here's what I want to do. This is going to be an unheard of thing.
Yeah.
I think we'll make a break right here because topic 2 we're flirting with about, and I think we can apply topic 2 to everything else we go through, and we can pick up right here with what we're talking about with the DC universe. All right. All right, that topic was brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, oh God, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Now, as you all know, Nick Scarpino, bless his heart, years ago, made kindafunny.com. The original kindafunny.com with Squarespace. It was a big help to us, and I'll tell you why. First off, it was easy. Creating your website with Squarespace is a simple, intuitive process. It's got free custom domains. That's right. Squarespace makes adding a domain to your site simple. If you sign up for a year, you'll receive the custom domain for free. Plus, it has beautiful templates. Design a best-in-class online store with Squarespace award-winning templates, customizable settings, and more. All without a single plugin. And did I mention, ladies and gentlemen, and I know I didn't because I'm just reading right down the page, that Squarespace offers 24/7 customer support. Every member of the customer care team is an experienced Squarespace user working in a Squarespace office. No matter how technical your problem or trivial seeming your question, one of the team is always online to assist you. So start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter offer code KINDAFUNNY, all one word, to get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace, set your website apart. They didn't say to like extend it like that. I just did it because I thought it sounded epic. So topic 2
Yes.
comes
I was literally just texting
from
to say, split this in two.
patreon.com/kindafunny, where our good friend Aziz, of course, hit us up with a topic. He supported us for a month, got his topic on the air, and his topic is, how far can goodwill or bad will affect a future project? He says, e.g., movie, show, games. He has a bunch of examples, right? Inafune seems to have lost the goodwill he ever had with this year with the release of Mighty Number 9 and Recore. How will this affect his future projects? Then he says, because of Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, people are not excited and more pessimistic about the upcoming Wonder Woman Justice League movies. Parentheses, which is crazy, but understandable. How far do you think this will affect DC? And then he goes on to Marvel, and like, so now we're right in the same wheelhouse here. So that's and when it comes to popular opinion on the DC Cinematic Universe and me giving them rope and like, no, they're trying to be grounded. Batman v Superman is going to play on that. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to smile.
I know.
I see you fighting it. But like that was always my thing, right? Of like, you were disappointed in Man of Steel, fine. The trailers for Batman v Superman look like they're addressing that head on. That's an awesome thing. And then what I kept saying, right, is that Suicide Squad would be the most important movie in the DC Cinematic Universe because it would be the first one removed from Snyder. And for them to say, no, it's not Snyder being stupid. This is the universe you exist in.
Right.
Where it's darker and it's real and it's not, and that totally didn't work out. You know what I mean? Like, the movie sucked on its own without Zack Snyder being at the helm of it, right? So I do feel that I worry that Wonder Woman, I think there's goodwill behind Wonder Woman that'll benefit it because not Snyder, everybody it seems like is like, Wonder Woman was awesome in Batman v Superman. We liked her. We liked Gal. We want to see what she's going to do with the character. Okay, we'll go do that. I still think it's going to struggle a bit. And then I think Justice League is going to review. It's interesting because I do think that in a lot of ways, and not for Suicide Squad, but and I'm not even trying to play like fucking internet commenter here. Stick with me, but I do think that DC's been behind the 8 ball forever. There's been bad will behind them forever. You're just copying Marvel. You're late to the game. Why are you doing this way?
Rushing everything out.
So every time they come out, they are nickel and dime for everything they do wrong, and they do a lot wrong. Don't get me wrong, but these movies get put under the microscope and really fucking torn apart. Whereas like, I criticized Civil War, right? And it was like, what are you fucking talking about? I'm like, okay, sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a good movie, fine. It just wasn't for me. But it's like, there is that dichotomy, and I think there is goodwill infused with that. I think Justice League has a chance to be better than the rest critically and received by the community, because I think it's going to be what people always want, and that's hat in hand, you were right. It's going to be Zack Snyder and the cast. They're going to have to answer this question on every fucking interview they do from here until the Justice League 2 probably, of, hey, we heard you loud and clear. You didn't like what we were doing. You didn't like this. We're making it lighter. We're putting humor in there. This is planned from ground zero that way, rather than Suicide Squad, where it was like, oh fuck, there's a bad reaction there. Let's get some reshoots in there. Let's try to fix this movie and give people what they want, even though it's too late. I think them coming out and saying that and being like, we listened and we're working on it, and this is what I think people are going to go in there more inclined to give them a chance. Whereas I think Batman v Superman was, no, fuck you. Man of Steel was Man of Steel, and this is Batman v Superman, and it's going to be Batman v Superman. Suicide Squad's going to be Suicide Squad. Oh, fuck, it can't be do this. No, it's too late. You're too late on trying to build your universe. You're doing it too fast. You're too late on trying to put this humor in there. Don't do it. I think if they come out, this is their first chance to walk out and be like, all right, we've heard everything you said. This is our answer. Let's go from here.
Yeah, I just don't think it's possible.
And don't get me wrong, it very well might not be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the other side in terms of the goodwill, bad will thing. I just think that like they've fucked up so badly that in terms of will, that Justice League is dead on arrival in terms of people's thoughts. Everyone's going to go into that. And you're talking about the microscope. I feel like it's not even so much a microscope as much as just looking. Like making sure you have glasses on, like, because it's when you're talking about the Marvel movies, you get criticized because people go into the Marvel movies based on their track record of how good's this one going to be?
Yeah.
You know, whereas people go into the DC movies, how bad is this one going to be?
Yeah.
So it's totally just a different lens. So being critical of Civil War, people are going to be extra hard on you because you're going the other way.
Sure.
And like being positive about the
Interesting.
DC movies, you're facing the other thing
going against
there.
the crowd, going
And
against the
it's just hard because those movies are set up to be what they are, and I don't think that Zack Snyder or any of them are going to change this single thing. I don't think there's a hat in hand at all.
I mean, they already did with like that. I mean, like the long footage of Justice League was what came out a week and a half after that studio set visit. They brought a bunch of journalists to, and there they were saying that like, we want you to watch us film this Bruce Wally scene. We're trying.
But I mean, I think it's marketing.
Barry, sorry,
I think
Barry.
it's marketing less than actual. We're changing the movie. You know, instead of actually fixing the problems, they're just saying, "Hey, but look at this." You know, it's more of a distraction than an answer. And I just think that like there's at this point because they've spent so long building this universe, they're fucked. Like they're already down this path. You can't all of a sudden change things. Like we were talking about Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Like it's been so long that him being the Wolverine that we need him to be is impossible. In the same way, it's like with Justice League. Well, now there's a whole bunch of characters that are going to be together. This is going to be Batman v Superman too. Like there's no way around that. No way.
Yeah.
And the question's going to be, is it better than Batman v Superman or not? It's not going to be, is this movie good? There's like very few people out there believe that this movie could be good. I think
that audiences hold grudges up until the point where you give them something really good. So if for any reason Batman Justice League was just by some miracle, I don't think it will be, but by some miracle fucking amazing, I think you would get every single person back on board on that train ASAP like that. I just don't think that you see time and time again people try things or they fail at these projects, and yeah, people love to hate, but you know what we love even more than that?
Redemption.
We love redemption. We love seeing that champ get knocked the fuck out and then train real hard and then fight again. And did he win? We don't know, right?
But we saw with the X-Men movies.
Exactly.
did,
That's a
right?
great point that I was thinking when you said that of like how bad X3 was and how I was like, fuck the X-Men movies. Not like I
Corporate
made
writer.
posts and you went out and picketed
Yeah.
or something. But then First Class came around and you're like, oh fuck.
But there's differences though, and the difference there is that was a reboot, that was a different set of directors, and that was after a significant amount of time.
Not a reboot.
But it was a reboot.
Kind of, yeah, but in their mind, they were still building into the
right?
same.
Days of Future Past then rebooted
That
the
kind of
timeline.
reboot.
No. First Class was a reboot of X-Men. It's just it was still in the same timeline, but it was still a reboot of the
See,
franchise.
that's their problem right there, though, is they stupidly decided they were going to stick with the canon of the old one. They should have just completely rebooted it. But sorry, we're getting off tangent. Continue.
But I mean, I think that First Class, like that universe, was definitely a reboot of the X-Men franchise. And yeah, it had nods here and there to the other stuff, but it wasn't until Days of Future Past that they're like, cool, we can make this work in parallel universes because that's what comics do. And we're at a point where movie-going audiences can understand multiple timelines. And like, this is Marvel 616, this is Marvel whatever the hell.
As a casual fan, I didn't understand that.
The
I
X-Men
thought
universes?
Days of Future Past was a prequel to X-Men, the Bryan Singer movies, and so I went through. And then when we got
is.
to Days of Future Past,
No,
well,
it
he
is.
just
It is.
It is. He's just saying it's sort of they're taking some liberties with it, and they're trying to reboot it. Kind of, it's a reboot, not in the most literal sense, but in a spiritual. We're trying to
Okay.
kind of
You could have watched
make
First
amends for
Class
the-
and not know anything about the other movies
Right.
and still be fine.
Sure.
Like,
Okay.
totally fine.
but it
And
still
it's-
does play into the canon of the other movies. is
Yes,
what
yeah,
Greg's saying.
yeah.
For
It's
sure.
still in the canon, but it's still a reboot. But in the Days of Future Past rebooted the timeline.
right.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Where are we at? Agree to disagree. Yeah, that look on your face, like I'm still confused.
No, I got it. I just
Yeah.
don't understand what the original argument was. It doesn't just go.
I don't
Doesn't
even
matter.
remember either. Then
Yeah, I'm sorry. So continue. Go ahead.
Deadpool 2 is the next one, January 12th, 2018. Tim Miller left the project.
Here's an interesting one, right? This is gonna be a very, very, very interesting movie to keep your eye on, because if it fails, it's gonna be fascinating, and people are gonna point a lot of fingers at Ryan Reynolds and the producers of that movie.
Well, what definition of fail is what?
Critically
Just-
failing.
Yeah.
It's gonna do numbers no matter what. It's gonna do business no matter what, because I think coming off of Deadpool, people are gonna go no matter what anyone says about it. They're gonna go. They're gonna flock to see it.
Do you think more than saw Deadpool 1?
Yeah.
More than? I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah. Because think about all this. Like, think about how many people you've talked to that wouldn't have even thought to see Deadpool 1 in the theaters and are now
They watched it.
fan because they watched it on
Yeah.
demand or
Yeah.
on HBO or whatever it's on. My wife included, where she was like, should I watch this Deadpool? My sister told me to see it. I'm like, yeah, you should watch it. It's fucking cool. And she actually liked it. Will she go see it in the theaters? No. That's a Tim and Greg movie.
Yeah.
According to her.
I like that.
Actually, she still says Mike P movie, but she means you guys.
That's
Because Mike P
hilarious.
lives in LA.
No, see, I think that it coming out in early 2018 is like perfect for it, because any later, I think it would have been too far out, and there's a chance that a lot of bad movies could happen that would cause people to be like, I don't know. But I think that that's a perfect time. Deadpool 2, I think, is still gonna
See,
kill.
that's what's interesting, and it goes back to the goodwill badwill thing. Is I don't know how many. I don't think you could have enough bad superhero movies to do it, because I feel like bad superhero movies don't necessarily affect the universe or other superhero movies. They affect that franchise, and that's what I think is happening with Deadpool, where it's like I love Deadpool. I've heard all my friends talk about Deadpool. Deadpool's coming back out. Hooray, hooray, hooray. We're gonna go see it. We're gonna go see it. And I think it's a goodwill thing of there's so much goodwill behind the name Deadpool as a movie. The director who left, I don't know his name and I don't know his work. I understand as a person who pays a little bit of attention to film that's going to change the tenor of the movie and all this different stuff. But having Ryan Reynolds and TJ Miller and all the same people back, I don't think you're going to lose as much. Now, of course, I'm the guy who, was like, oh, Spider-Man 3 sounds like a lot of shit's happening, but I love Sam Raimi. He'll fix, oh, fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this, you get burned all the time.
Yeah, I think I'm talking more about just timing. If there was a lot of bad movies around it, like I think that it's kind of the video game argument we always make, where it's like early in the year, when games come out, it has room to breathe, and I think that people would be like, oh, cool, Deadpool, and like they won't even think of it necessarily as a superhero movie. Whereas if it were to come out at a time when there's an Avengers movie and another X-Men movie
Star Wars
and
all
Justice League and all this stuff, then I think Deadpool could kind of get the like, oh yeah, there's a Deadpool, I'll watch it later.
Gotcha.
Moving on, Black Panther.
Angela Bassett just joined the cast as of recording this today.
The thing with this movie is I feel like they just keep adding cast members.
Yeah.
And they're not making a movie.
Put them all in a room. They'll
It's just
figure
like,
it out.
holy shit, like how many cast members are in this movie? Sounds like an amazing cast though. And
Who else is in it?
Directed by Ryan Coogler, the Creed director.
Oh, okay.
So it's like cool. And this is another one of those, like I would put this in the Doctor Strange, Ant-Man category.
Go ahead and impress me.
Of like, it's your game to fail, my friends.
Yep, exactly,
Like, come on.
exactly.
But I think they'll kill it.
The only thing I think that it has going against it, and this is the smallest of things, is that leaving Civil War, I wasn't like, man, Black Panther was awesome in that movie.
And you were alone in that thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't.
I thought he was cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh man, I can't wait for the Black Panther movie. But
People are like that.
everyone else seems
It might
to
just be that I was so hung up on Spider-Man that I wanted Spider-Man so bad, and then I loved Ant-Man's contribution, and I loved Falcon and Bucky's interaction. Like there was so much going on that was so awesome, and I wanted to know more and give me another scene about that. This guy with his dad, then grieving about his dad, then in the suit, and me going, I don't understand his powers really. The suit's made of like fucking Captain America metal, but is he strong, super strong? Like what's his, okay, and he's got a cave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, all right, like, but it's the same thing of like, I didn't give two flying fucks about Doctor Strange before this. I thought he was a stuffy old guy. It turns out he's awesome, at least in this movie. So why not? You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing of, go in there and make what you got to make with
I'm
it.
stoked about it. I predict Nick's going to love this movie. Black Panther.
Black Panther?
I really think he's going to love it.
Okay.
The Flash then, March 16th, 2018.
The Flash is one of the movies I could see disappearing. You know what I mean?
How quick?
I'm gone in a flash. No, I feel like that one could fall off the radar. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a lot of concrete information on Batman. The Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman movie, right?
The Batman right now is Untitled Batman, tentative for March 2018, directed by
Ben
Affleck,
Affleck, written by
starring
him.
Affleck.
And starring Joe DiMaggio.
And the thing with that is that date of March 2018 came from an interview they did where they said it was going to be, I think, like 8 months after Justice League or so.
Gotcha.
There's something that they did that got us to March.
And what's the Flash date right now? Because we're in 2018.
The Flash
already.
date right now is March 16th, 2018.
Yeah, I see. I think it's the thing we're talking about. I think everybody's gun shy right now based on Batman v Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to get Justice League out to see what people think of this Flash. And I think DC's very, like, after Suicide Squad, not bombing critically, I think everybody's like, what do we do? Hold on. Jeff Johns, you're in these meetings now. What are we doing?
Let's not bury the lead. Batman.
Exactly.
Just Batman.
Exactly. And that's the same thing, remember, too, that they were like, all right, we are making another standalone Superman movie. Like, that wasn't, they had this whole docket, right? Well, fucking to 2020 with Green Lantern. And then finally, like, oh fuck, we'll do a Superman movie too. So it's like, all right, you thought everything's gonna go amazingly from the core. You'd be able to expand. The core is not stable. So let's drop the Flash. Let's drop Cyborg. Not drop these characters like never to have them again, but like push their movies back. Get the Superman and Batman movies done. Get Wonder Woman 2 out there. Get another Justice League. Maybe not a Wonder Woman 2, but Justice League.
Yeah, Ezra Miller, real interested in this guy. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him. I was like watching the movie. I was like, "Who the fuck is this dude?"
Yeah, it took me a while too.
And I was like, "Oh, it's the Flash." And I was like, "I don't know. I'm not sold.
Yeah,
I'm really not sold. I didn't like him too much in the trailer. And Fantastic Beasts. I'm like,
He's a really good actor.
What's the
So we'll
movie
see
I
what he
saw
does.
where he was having
I
sex
just
with an
saw him
older
in
lady?
something else too. I can't remember what it was. I'll look it up. You guys keep talking.
Big Kev's on it, looking it up.
Like he keeps popping up in random things. I'm like,
Yeah.
is that the fucking Flash? That is the fucking.
He had long hair and he had sex with
Yes.
somebody.
What are we thinking?
But I remember he got a nosebleed. Oh, I've almost got it. I'm not gonna look at the screen. I want to say it's something like This Is 40 or no, Trainwreck. He was in Trainwreck, right?
Yes. He was like, he was the one. He was at his
Yep.
mom's house, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, he's
Trainwreck. There it is.
15 or whatever it is.
Yeah. What I appreciate from 2 fucking seconds of Ezra Miller's The Flash in that Justice League thing where he gets to talk is that he doesn't sound like Grant Gustin. He is clearly he seems like he's an indoor kid Flash,
Yeah.
He's got all his Rick and Morty things playing and he's sitting there and he's socially awkward and he's very different. And I like that idea of a character of like, okay, cool, what's going to happen with that? But I don't know anything about it in terms of like if that was just him being awkward with Bruce Wayne and Batman or if he's like that altogether. Because he gave me that Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
like
would be interesting to
ADHD
see that with
kinda.
powers.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Yeah,
I think
okay.
so.
and we've talked about this a million times with the Justice League trailer, but like for me, I loved it when he was just like, I'm joining you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, you're just stoked about this. But then he goes a little too
they
far and
killed
does
it
the
with that
Sheldon
last
thing. And I'm
beat.
like, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. But
That
they're
you know
doing
what? But that's the thing. Like, that is. That's one of those things where I'm like, the trailer guys should have cut that out. They had a perfect beat where he was like, I'm in. He's like, really? He's like, yeah. That was perfect.
That was it.
It was so
Move on.
perfect. That one example is such a kind of shines a lot of light on where their heads are at with this whole thing. Is it just doesn't have the finesse that the Marvel films do. But that's why I'm interested to see what Jeff Johns does. Like, I'm sure he'll come in and be like, okay, let's start to just sculpt this thing toward something that we would consider in the animated realm being a success.
Yeah, I don't know. The Flash is going to be very interesting and see how it all plays. And it's another thing, too, of like goodwill, badwill kind of thing of like the Flash on TV is the best live action superhero show I've ever seen. It's nailing
Hands
it.
down.
It's consistently amazing. It's in season 3 right now. What?
Season 3 is not that great.
I mean,
dipping.
what are you talking about? Like from Flashpoint on?
Yeah.
I like that fine. I like the idea of that. I like seeing
That's a topic
Wally.
for another day then.
Okay, fine. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I whatever. We'll judge it when the season's over because season 1 was like some of the best television of all time for superheroes. But anyways, back to the point is that the Flash TV show and Grant Gustin's portrayal of Barry and Flash has ruined the Flash comic for me to where I try to read the Flash comic and I'm like, he doesn't look like Grant. Grant wouldn't do this. This isn't how
That's
I
great.
can't do it's great there, but like the problem is now I'm not alone in that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You're going to get a bunch of DC fans who step in and are like, that's not how. And I don't, based on what they're showing, the fact they're going so drastically different with this, the suit's different. Even when Jeff Johns talks about the powers, right? He doesn't talk about him being fast. He talks about him being able to manipulate like time and space, and that's really cool and interesting. And I want to see how they play with all that.
Yeah. No, I'm interested. I'm shocked that you think that they're gonna maybe drop the Flash movie because I think Flash is definitely their after Wonder Woman. They're next in line,
Yeah,
right?
but I think you got to get Batman and
And
Superman in there
I
first.
agree. Yeah, and especially looking at that timing, it's like I feel like Batman. I mean, in my opinion, they should just do Batman.
I
Just
mean,
focus
the
on
fact
Batman,
that, like-
and if other people make cameos, cool. But just make Batman movies.
Hey, who's the villain of the Flash?
fucking Lord if I know?
Exactly, because they're they don't have an announced one. But Deathstroke, we know in Batman, and he's been cast, and here's this CG fucking thing of him from the Justice League set. I'm like, oh, okay. I wonder what you're putting your money into and where we're going with
Yeah,
this.
because if they drop Flash, like straight up drop Flash, everything after that's dropped. All the other guys.
Sure,
Are
I mean,
dropped.
that's what I'm saying. I don't hold out hope for the Flash happening there. I don't hold out for Aquaman. I don't.
Cyborg.
Is Shazam still on there?
Yeah. So okay. So then moving on.
They would be dumb to not do Shazam because they have The Rock in it.
Do they though? Because that was something that got announced forever ago, and then I rarely ever hear about it. And
Yeah.
once Flash wore the Black Adam shirt, and it's just like, okay, fine, but again, everything is fucked right now.
Yeah,
you have
sure.
to fix everything.
I mean,
we can't
the
move
way
on.
to fix it is The Rock.
Yeah,
Whatever
definitely.
team-
Agree.
Here's the
Definitely.
thing: if Marvel somehow swoops in and gets The Rock, that's just like the
over.
final. You're done. You're done, buddies.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Avengers: Infinity War on May 4th, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those ones that like it's gonna sneak up on us. I think that it's just like it's far out now.
No, they're doing
but-
Infinity 1 and 2, right?
They're renaming them or
It's
something.
now in Avengers: Infinity War, and then the second one is currently untitled Avengers movie.
So it'll be Infinity War 2.
Yeah,
Or
but just
whatever
under
the
different
Gauntlet or whatever the fuck they call it.
Yeah.
But they are that is a 2-part story of the Infinity
Well, it was
Gauntlet.
originally pitched that way, but it sounds like, I mean, it's yes,
Okay.
but it's going to be, it's not titled that though.
Because there's no way they can do that justice in one movie.
Oh yeah.
They have
No.
to do those. That has to be split into 2, and it has to be epic.
I mean, it's at least how things are going now from what we know about it. I would imagine that phase 1 is the more getting the B tier guys together, the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange and whatever, and all them kind of being there. And then for the second part, whatever the fuck it ends up being called, bringing Captain America and Iron Man and Thor and all those guys.
Huh? You think that's how it goes?
Yeah,
I would think the first
they,
one
they
is.
split the thing up.
I would think the first one is the like B tier Avengers, all these fucking assholes nobody cares about, and then bringing in, then you have to get Captain America and Iron Man to pair up, and then they look out and they realize they need, or even if they somehow get it, but get Guardians in there and get everybody else, Doctor Strange, all the people that are like on the outskirts, to be together, and then but then you cut it like right as Thanos shows up or whatever.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. There's a couple ways they can play it because there was multiple movies before then, so I don't know where things are gonna kind of shake.
Yeah, we'll
out.
see how many of the, because I could easily see them going that first one as him getting the last Infinity Stone and like forming the gauntlet like halfway through, and then the rest of it's just like they get destroyed, and then the next movie is like bringing that plan back to go get him.
Oh my god, fuck yeah! I can't believe we're here.
I can't believe we're gonna see like.
But after this, then what? Then it is Marvel.
The sad thing is we're not gonna get the some of those iconic shots. Like we're not gonna get the shot of Wolverine with the claws hanging in the fence and things like that because you just can't do it. But
Yeah.
we'll get some other shit.
Yeah,
It's
they'll
gonna be
figure it
great.
out.
Yeah, I mean
It's gonna be cool.
those are the ones that gets exciting because I think it's what's exciting now is seeing everybody meet, because then it is again we get that Avengers moment that we all
Yeah.
loved so much of these characters we knew from different things to come back together.
That was the
And-
first time we're getting that in a real grand way since Avengers. I mean,
Right.
we got in Civil War to an extent, but even that was still introducing new characters. I think that Infinity War is going to be that like holy shit moment.
Yeah, they could have done a lot more with Civil War too. That could have been a 2-parter if they wanted to, but they did it justice.
Yeah. Then very quickly after that, July 6, 2018, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That's fun.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'll see it.
That's cool that
Yeah.
Wasp is in the title. So we'll see. I think that could be fun with the two of them. I liked them in Ant-Man. I think
Yeah, they had a good
that
chemistry.
this one has a potential to be better.
I hope
than
she's
the
not
first
wearing
one.
the wig again. I just hope she's not wearing the wig again. I don't understand why they make them wear wigs. I'm like, I just let her hair be whatever it is.
Then Untitled Fox movie, July 13th, 2018. Who knows?
Whatever.
That's at the point that maybe that's long enough for it to be something, but at the
Maybe.
same time, it's like I'm really interested. I'm just holding out that Marvel and Fox figure it out and just go, because otherwise, there's rumors of like, oh, they're gonna do another reboot of the Fox of X-Men, so it's a total new start without Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. It's the Dark Phoenix saga, but Jean Grey's still Sansa from Game of Thrones, and it's just like, don't do another fake ass reboot. Like,
yeah, start from scratch, go all the way down.
yeah, with Marvel, or just don't.
Yeah.
For a while. Aquaman, July 27th, 2018, directed by James Wan, a Furious 7 fan.
See, I still think you're talking about like, behind Wonder Woman, Flash is the guy, right?
Yeah.
Right now, I would agree with that. I still think Jason Momoa could kill it in Justice League and be the awesome, like, holy shit. Now, I said that could be the thing with Batman v Superman before we knew it, right? Like, I was thinking he might have a Hulk-like moment or whatever.
Oh, you didn't like his moment in Batman v Superman?
Oh,
You didn't
again,
think it was enough?
No,
You mean the moments
there
where
was
you stood
too.
at
There
the
was
can-
too
stood
much
at the can-
moment. There's too much
Yeah.
moment. Batman v Superman.
Again, another one of those things. It's like, and this is the problem. They have too many fucking voices in the room. Because someone was like, God, why are we still on this shot?
Yeah.
And then some exec's like, well, we have to remind people there's an Aquaman movie coming up. And then the first guy one's like, they get it. They know what it is. It's not the whole thing.
Just do the eyes. Just do the Flash eyes. That's
The
awesome.
guy's like, I think we should make sure.
Anyways, I think he could be cool, and like, because people love Jason Momoa, and I feel like you guys are bigger
Do
in
they,
movies.
though?
Yeah, they
That's
do.
the thing.
Shut
do
up.
they? Why do they love Jason Momoa?
Game of Thrones.
Right.
Khal
What
Drago.
season? When's the last time we saw him do anything that was
and
fun?
that's a question I have of like I was about to say before I was rudely interrupted. Of you guys know more about movies and stuff than I do. Has he
apologize.
been in other stuff? Has he been doing stuff? No, that is weird.
Not really. He did.
That is weird.
He did. I think he did a bad Conan the Barbarian remake that
Oh!
tanked. I think that was him.
I do think that's true. Yeah.
And then The Rock did a Hercules remake that looked a lot like that, and they both tanked. It didn't matter. Non sequitur. I just thought I'd call that out because
Just
they were
throwing
pretty
it
much
out
the
there.
exact same movie.
Jason Momoa. Here we go. Oh, he's in Baywatch with The Rock.
That's fantastic.
Oh wait, no, maybe he was on the Baywatch TV show. My apologies.
Oh,
my
God.
good
Who
for
is he on the
him.
Baywatch TV show?
He's probably
There's a
Superman.
Baywatch TV show currently?
No.
there was.
God,
I was
okay.
about to lose my
Man,
fucking
I
mind.
thought Jason Momoa was like on Baywatch, like the fucking knockoff Baywatch.
Baywatch
that's on,
City
like,
Nights or whatever it was.
2 p.m. on CBS.
That'd be amazing. That'd be probably a great move for his career at this point. No, I mean, the thing is, I'm not knocking Jason Momoa. I loved him as Khal Drogo, but he got really big really fast as that
Who's the
character.
lifeguard? Look at that lifeguard, huh? A young Jason Momoa over there, huh?
That guy. Jesus Christ. I mean, I would fuck that guy is what I meant. to say.
Whoa!
Yes, yes.
Whoa.
All right,
We're open here.
moving on. One that I'm fucking so excited for, animated Spider-Man movie, December 21st, 2018.
I
That
didn't know
could
they were
be
doing
awesome.
that. Who's voicing it? Do we know?
No, we don't know. We don't know much about it. We know the producers, and it's the typical Marvel people.
So
for that.
when you say animated, you mean like wide release animated?
Animated
on
theatrical
the level
release.
of theatrical Pixar movies,
Yes.
things like that. That's really cool.
That's going to be put on the back shelf.
You think?
Yeah. Tom Holland's going to come out and be awesome, and they're going to let's keep.
Yeah, but he could be the voice then.
Why would they make an animated movie? Make it number 2. I'm with Kevin on this one.
Same
Because
reason
then it
why
could
they
be
would make a
totally
Lego
different.
Batman
And it's
movie.
Disney.
Yeah, but I mean, animated, it's Disney, sure. But I still think from when you say Spider-Man animated movie, I think the DC animated movie, I think direct to your console or
Yeah.
your DVD shelf.
I hope it's not. I
No,
hope
no.
this is
I'm sorry.
theatrical.
No. Let me dial back. What I'm in your world, you're correct. It's theatrical, and I'm saying as a typical movie-going person, I'm like, oh, a Spider-Man movie they're putting in theaters. That's weird. I'm not gonna go see that. I'm not gonna see a cartoon in theaters. A Spider-Man cartoon that I could see on TV or on my DVDs.
You hating ass hater.
I am a hating ass hater. What are you gonna do about it? Who's gonna
But
come
you-
at me?
but
Greg
you'll still
Weisman.
see-
Who gonna come?
Make it Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3, but in a movie.
Greg
Holy
Weisman
fuck.
is very busy. He's working on Young Justice. He doesn't need you getting in his ear about anything else.
God bless him for that. No, but at the same token, you'd see Lego Batman. I think it'll be the same.
But again, that's totally different. Lego Batman isn't like we're trying to tell you a real Batman story.
Sure.
We're like, we're in the Lego universe and it's fun and
But
cute.
this
and
could be
da-da-da-da.
too, right? This could be a kid's version of like more like a Pixar film. It doesn't have to be like an intense.
Fuck that. Give us another Spider-Man.
But when's the last time I went and saw a Pixar film in theaters? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Well, you're a monster.
Well,
I am.
It's
You're
not
right,
your-
everybody. I grew up. I want to see pussies when I go to the theater.
man,
Big
must
old
be.
vaginas and
Yeah,
dicks.
We don't-
Damn, that's porn. You're watching porn. They don't
Yeah.
show those in theaters
We don't know
anymore.
what this is rated. Maybe if Deadpool
Maybe
is
it's
super
rated
well.
X. Yeah, it's like Mary Jane, get over here. Threesome?
Then
With Aunt May.
Yeah.
Captain
It's that MILF.
Captain Marvel, March 8th, 2019, Brie Larson. Another one of those things where I would have had no fucking faith in this. But now Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and
I love Brie
Guardians,
Larson,
and I love
too.
Brie Larson. So
Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
100%.
This could be
Fucking
awesome.
cool.
And that's what they're killing with it. It's like, all right, cool. This is why Marvel's so great. We nailed the foundation. Now we're building on it, and we've now proven with you look back at all Ant-Man and now Doctor Strange that we can do characters you in Guardians of the Galaxy that you don't know or don't necessarily care about, and we're gonna put people you do care about into those roles. And here we're gonna have a fun movie.
And that, I think, is the question of going back to Colin's argument of when's the bottom fall out. I think it's when is a character going to be announced where his or her first movie is a failure. And we're looking at Black Panther. We're looking at Captain Marvel. Like, there's going to be opportunities for that to occur.
Sure.
But we'll see. Then Shazam, April 5th, 2019 with The Rock.
I wish, but no, I don't think that happens on that
I don't think it
timetable.
happens.
Again, they fucked this up. If they really they could have solved all their problems if they would have understood where the problems are going to be, which everyone told them where they're going to be. Hey, we need humor, we need color, we need fun. All right, let's cast The Rock as Shazam, and he goes from being a 7-year-old boy to being someone on par with Superman who is The Rock, and have The Rock do the whole like, oh gee, I didn't know what I was doing, like. That fucking movie would be amazing and
Yeah.
killing. Instead, he's Black Adam,
No,
and it's going to
that's-
be like a super dark Captain Marvel.
But it boils down to economics, right? You can't, like, if you want to lock him in, you want to lock him in for 5 movies. You can't afford The Rock for that much. You got to have him in one movie as Black Adam and then maybe come back again. Be amazing if he could be a main character and main staple. I know you give me the stiff bottom lip there. But I just feel like The Rock. That's why I think we'll have to see how The Rock's career goes. But he's like the biggest name in entertainment right now,
Yeah.
by far. So and he's not slowing down. Like that guy has his shit together. So
I
Kevin
predict
Hart
he runs
won't
for
let him.
president.
no, I know, right?
Yeah, no, me too.
Oh, I would vote for him too.
But I really think he's going to.
That would be fucking amazing. Amazing. But Kanye is going to beat him to it first.
Yeah,
That's
but
topic
The
for
Rock
another
will
day.
win. The
Unless
Rock would
Kanye
beat
stays in the
Kanye.
hospital.
Avengers sequel, May 3rd, 2019. That'll be
Mm-hmm.
the end of phase 3 as we know it. Then Justice League sequel, June 14th, 2019. we'll see. I don't know. Like that's the thing.
I think
it's
that'll
like,
be there.
You think?
And what year is it? Are we in?
2019 is where we're at now.
I think that doesn't move. I think you have to have just Wonder Woman, obviously, Justice League, the next Justice League, and I think it's where you move Flash and Aquaman and Shazam, and you figure out where the Batman is, and you figure out where Superman is, and then you figure out where the Batman 2 is because Batman kills.
Jumping ahead and jumping around a little bit just to close out DC, we got Justice League sequel June 14th, then Cyborg April 3rd,
Not
2020,
happening.
then Green Lantern Corp.
Green Lantern has a shot, I think.
July 24th, 2020.
Because there was a news article we did on Colin Moriarty Live yesterday that there's a key scene or whatever where a Green Lantern member is going to be somehow involved.
Yeah, in Justice
League, the next Justice League.
Then Suicide Squad 2,
Nope.
TBA. Dark Justice League, TBA. That's Constantine and all that.
Sure, but they're putting out animated film now. They dropped the fucking ball on that by taking away from Guillermo del Toro years ago. Like that would have been, hey, let's do something really cool and different and
that would've been
crazy.
really
All right,
different.
go for it.
Then Harley Quinn solo movie / Birds of Prey movie.
See, I think the Harley Quinn solo movie will happen before Suicide Squad 2.
So that's the rest of
worst
DC
idea.
that we know of so far.
But it's her and Jared. I mean, it's Harley Quinn, whatever, but it's got him.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think that
This is. I mean, we're still in the goodwill, badwill topic, and I think that's where it is. It's just like there's bad will behind
Definitely.
DC. You can't give them the benefit of the doubt.
So the thing
Marvel
with-
gets all the benefit of the doubt.
With looking forward at all the DC shit we have, what would it take for DC to stop? In the same way that X-Men seems like they're about to stop.
I think it would have to be they stop making money. That's the big thing. It's that thing of this is a very similar argument I would say to the video game industry of, all right, critics don't like this, but there are fans that do, and they're buying the games and they're buying season passes, and so it doesn't matter how many times Colin will be like, "Don't buy a season pass. What are you doing? Wait until you see." I buy the season pass when I like a game, right? And it's the same thing with like. I know you're a comic book fan, obviously, and so don't get me wrong. You know, Batman v Superman's far from perfect, but I enjoyed it for what it was. It was an issue I read, and like I said, when people wanted to fight me about it back in the day, because now I'm just beaten into submission. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this ever again, please. That Batman v Superman was better than dozens of comics I've read in the DC universe in the past year, let alone the hundreds of DC comics I've read throughout my life. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like there was nothing in there to salvage and enjoy. So I went and enjoyed it, and then I still enjoy Flash, and I still enjoy the comics, and I still enjoy all these different works of it. So it's like, as long as they're not making them, like, what would it take for them to stop? Like, they'd have to, either go so bland that there's nothing to enjoy, or go so crazy that Superman is tearing out hearts and shit. And you're like, what the fuck is this? This is not at all what this character is. Because even as Man of Steel, flawed in so many ways, I always talk about, the scene, spoilers for Man of Steel, where he kills Zod. And how people were so bent out of shape about it. And I left the theater bent out of shape about it too, because it was an unearned moment. I thought that scene was great in terms of like when he cracks it, just not like the effects in the fight, because there's a million problems with that. But when he cracks his neck and then has that moment and screams and Lois comes in and hugs, like that part, that part, I was like, fuck, that was awesome. And they didn't earn this. They didn't make me care about Superman in this film to this point like this. They didn't make me care about Lois in this film to this point. They didn't make me care about Zod, and you know what I mean? But like out in a vacuum of what it is and knowing and inferring all this stuff, there's something there that I liked about it and I can take away from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm interested.
What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, because these movies are going to keep making money. And I think that for me, I don't think they'll straight up stop, but I do think that there is a chance that soon, like sooner than later, and I think it could be real soon, they just go all in on Batman and Harley Quinn, and that's it. Like all the post Justice League, like Justice League's obviously happening, but after that, I don't know. I can see them just making, well, here's a Batman movie and here's a Joker movie. Like, we'll call it Harley Quinn, whatever, but you're just going to get those. And all these other characters that are now in the universe, they'll be here for this or whatever. Like, here's a Joker, here's a team up for a second. But like,
Wonder Woman has coffee with Batman to discuss what's happening in Gotham.
Exactly. But it's almost at a point of just like, why even try building all these things? Because they're not going to do as well as a Batman movie would. Yeah. And so if it is about the money, when do they just be like, all right, fine, we lost in terms of building the universe, not in terms of money? They're making money.
I think a big tipping point for them will be Justice League. Like once that movie comes out, they have a lot riding on that, because no matter what they can. You're right. I mean, the problem is what they should do is focus on those one-off movies and make them as good as humanly possible. What they're not doing is exactly that. what they really need to do is do what Marvel's doing, which is make every movie as good as humanly possible and have someone really overseeing the entire process to make sure the overarching story is something of sheer art and beauty. But yeah, I just don't. I think that it's going to be just a slow crawl toward that bottom line, that threshold over the next like 2 years, to the point where they finally just go, we got to just
2 years. I mean, the problem
let's call it 3 years then.
See, I would think of 5 because of the way the movie industry works, I feel like. And again, you know it better than I do. But I feel like in terms of what it is, it's such a train lumbering down the tracks that even when it is like, oh, fuck, they didn't like Batman v Superman. Suicide Squad still fucked. Wonder Woman possibly fucked. Justice League, they've got to retool everything they're working on.
But that's why I'm saying, like, I look at like Justice League when they'll know by then how much of a success or not a success, Wonder Woman was. They know that Suicide Squad was kind of a failure from the fans' perspective, even though it made money. Those movies were already in the works. All this stuff has already been in the works. So the question I have now is like, how much influence does Jeff Johns have over everything going forward from here? When they brought him in, was he like, yo, let me see that script for Justice League right fucking now? Like, I don't care if we're still shooting. We have to nail this. We need to take a step back. And if they're giving him that luxury, I think he can really do it. But
or inevitably in 2018 when Disney buys DC and changes the entire game. That could happen at any moment. That could happen.
That would be insane.
Yeah,
that would be awesome though.
It would be fucking crazy. Finishing out the topic, just to go through the rest of the ones we haven't named yet. On the Marvel side, we got untitled MCU movies on May 1st, 2020, July 10th, 2020, and November 6th, 2020, which is in line with what they've been doing, where there's been 2 or 3 in about that time of the year, every year. Then Deadpool 3 is the last thing on the list, and it's TBA. We'll see if we get there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll check back in 3 years and see how we all did. Your phone case, man. Is that the texture of it? No, something's wrong with your phone. What's wrong?
Melting.
Is it all bubbly?
It's all melted.
That's the texture. It's leather.
Why is this texture isn't there like that? It used to be way nicer. Thank you, Kevin.
It's like worn apart. It's just because it's worn down.
Okay, cool. Everybody be chill. Okay. Next topic.
Yeah, boy.
My topic.
Yeah, boy.
I want to talk about failing as a fan. Interesting. Failing as a fan, ladies and gentlemen. It comes.
A fan ain't failing. No, it's not on.
The fan is failing. It's not on. Nick turned it off.
No.
Failing as a fan of something obviously that you want, or that you like. You know what I mean? Not fan, as in a fan, floor fan here. But if you have stories about oscillating fans failing you, please let me know. No, I was thinking about this the other day of like, it's weird for us to have an audience and all these different things, and how hard it is to communicate what happens on our side of the screen versus what's happening on theirs. And it made me think back to everything I've been a fan of and all the things. And there's a story I regret very, very much now being an adult and now understanding things.
Is it the one where you pooped in the bushes in front of the small Asian kid?
No, that was I pooped in front of Colin, and the little boy was there too. He was like 15, but I don't regret that. No, that was great content for this. This whole channel's built on me pooping in that bush.
And the raccoons.
And the raccoons. Yes, that's a big part too.
Grandma.
No, this is funny too, because I looked at my topic list on things that I should talk about on the show eventually, and this one's there, and it's a Weezer story, and I was wearing my Weezer shirt today.
Yeah, boy.
Just happens. I was a huge Weezer fan back in the day. Still am, obviously, but since '94, along for the ride with the Blue Album, right? And when I got the Blue Album on the back, it had a thing about joining the Weezer fan club. And I wrote in, join the Weezer fan club, right? And you get a little laminated card, which I got rid of years and years and years ago, and I regret to this day that I did. But then the best thing was you got this thing called the Weezer zine, when zines were still a thing, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
And it was it came out, I want to say quarterly or whatever, and it had fan letters in there and art from the fans, and then photos of like Pat Wilson or whatever at a birthday party, and like little updates about what's happening with Weezer and stuff. But it was mainly fan stuff, and then of course there was such a drought between Weezer albums and stuff. Pinkerton happens and then it's just off the rails of like, is there ever going to be anything else along the lines? But even the lead up to Pinkerton, I remember being hard, that there wasn't as much stuff as you wanted. And this before the internet was really all over the place. It was hard to keep up. They were, the rentals had come along too. I'm getting off track. I remember at one point, and I forget how, it's 94. So right, I'm 11 then. Sure. And we'll say I'm between 11 and 13 when this happens or whatever. But I'm getting the Weezer zines. I like them all much. And I remember drawing some. I was drawing comics, as you know, we've talked about my stuff here.
Froggy.
My hustle, yeah, the Froggy comics or whatever. And I had a character in there, and again, in one of these things, maybe it was just doodles, but Weezer Man, something totally lame. But
Weezer
like,
Man, yeah.
exactly.
Weezer
But
Man and Froggy.
Weezer Man and Froggy out there
Go on
having
their
adventures. Yeah, exactly. But I drew an image of Weezer Man and sent it in to the Weezer fan club. And I sent like a super passive aggressive note of just like, hey, submitting this, and this is like paraphrasing, obviously, would love to see it in the magazine, and I think I deserve it because I've been a Weezer fan for a long time now, and it's been hard because there's no new music and what's happening, and really like a whole like, hey, like I'm owed this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm fucking owed this.
You
so
stand them.
Huh?
Stan. You're Stan.
Yeah, exactly. No, I didn't threaten to like murder people or whatever. But I was like, I in my head, I'm writing into Geffen Records, some whatever interns getting this, seeing it, putting together this Weezer magazine. Why wouldn't they just put this in there, or whatever? Maybe I had done it multiple times, and this was like my final straw thing. I don't recall anymore, but I remember this very specific one.
That sounds very possible.
Exactly, right? And so, because I'm a dumb kid, obviously, you don't know how the world works, and you send it in, you think all this stuff.
Psychopath.
And it wouldn't be till, not bury the lead here. I think I'm writing into a corporation, all these things. Somebody at Weezer's this huge band, right? Like clearly they have hundreds of people working on these staffs or whatever. When in reality, the Weezer fan club was run by two sisters, Michael and Carly, who like signed off all of their, they had letters in the beginning of the zine, like what's happening in the zine. They
Her name was Michael?
Yeah, Michael and Carly. They spelled Mykel. Yeah.
Never heard
But they signed off Hear You Me or whatever and put it out and done this whole thing. And it didn't dawn on me at the time that it wasn't a corporation running this. It was these two women that were fans of Weezer that had befriended them, and it turned out, dozens of other local LA bands that they would help whenever they came through stuff, like when they were little, not before their huge things or whatever. And that this was a passion project for them, and that when I got my fan club that looked like it was written in Sharpie, it was written in Sharpie by these people. And when I got my, packet that was written in Sharpie on it, it was written by one of these two sisters who was stuffing envelopes and sending the shit out and doing all these different things, right? And like, it was just two women who were doing all this, and I don't find out about this until they die. And they die driving to the next Weezer show. And it's still murky as to what exactly happened, but the theory commonly held is that they finished one of their Weezer shows, were driving to the next one, and fell asleep at the wheel and crashed the car and died.
That's unfortunate.
And so when that happens, then I remember this is the first time I remember Weezer had been quiet forever. It felt like, again, I'm a kid, so I don't have any sense of time or whatever. But I remember when MTV News reported on it and showed like a clip from like the benefit concert or whatever, and like Rivers had like really long hair, and I was like, that's not what I thought he looked like. I haven't seen him in so long or whatever. And then they explained like that how this all happened, and so like it's this weird regret I have, especially now knowing for us, like there's 5 of us, right? And so like when people are like, why doesn't this work and why doesn't that happen? It's like we're trying as hard as we can, and this is not trying to guilt anybody out there. All your criticisms are well warranted, and we understand them in 2017. Yeah. But like for me, that's that weird thing of being on both sides of it now. But even back then, having said that and imagining them opening this thing with this fucking stupid ass drawing, and then this letter from this 12-year-old, this petulant child, being like blah 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 blah, and I'm sure they weren't. I'm sure they're like, this kid's dumb, whatever. Move on to the hundreds of other letters and poems and art and things like praising this band and thanking us for our work. But I never thanked them, and I never had the chance to because I didn't understand the situation or how the world works at the time.
Sure.
And that fucking sucks. So like that's me failing as a fan. That's a fan regret I have. You know what I mean? And the fact of not taking the time to understand and thank them for what they did, and instead coming off like this douche that, again, I'm sure they lost no sleep over, that they did not worry about. It wasn't like, oh, we're not going to do it. But I've had those days here, right, where it's been a motherfucker. God, this day's been bad. I always talk about like, it's like I've fallen out of a tree and I'm hitting my head on every branch. Everything that could go wrong, and you're just bouncing around. You can't even answer these emails, and you get to the bottom. It's like, all right, fine. I'm going to go home, open up Twitter, and wow, this is broken. Why are you guys so stupid? Why didn't you hire somebody? All right. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I want to fucking scream and cry all at once now.
Yeah.
And so I've done that to somebody and have no way to be like, I am sorry for it. It sucks.
Yeah.
I think, in regards to that, though, I'm sure those sisters probably had a lot of good stuff coming through as well.
100%. No, they were beloved. I know
But
that.
despite that, I feel like there's no amount of good that can combat the bad at that moment.
Right.
And
And
it's like
that's
the
the thing.
moment you get past that moment and you realize all the good, everything goes away. But there's just something about you can get 100 compliments, but that one insult is the one that you go, what motherfucker? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that what motherfucker response is more visceral than anything else.
Sure.
And I don't know, it's harder to take compliments, I guess, is the...
I don't know. See, I don't think I've ever been in that position where I've cared enough to like to render that sort of a criticism against something. And I think that's when you talk about failure as a fan, I think that is my biggest failure is that I'm not that big of a fan of anything. And it sucks.
Joe Rogan?
I do love Joe Rogan, but I mean, you know, it's hard to knock Joe Rogan. I mean, well, it's easy to knock Joe Rogan depending on what you like to listen to or not. But you know, he's unabashedly who he is. And so if you don't like what he puts out or that podcast,
You're not consuming it.
You're not coming back for a second listen. But you know, I look at all the support we get from the people that consume our content and help us out over the years, and I just feel like I don't have something like that I'm passionate about. So I think that's my failure as both a creator and as a fan is that I'm not able to throw myself wholeheartedly into something like that. Like you say that's bad, but I bet I can paint another.
I say what's bad?
You say the letter that you wrote. Was bad. I can paint another picture of those two sisters reading it. Clearly, it's a kid's letter, and they're getting a huge kick out of how much this kid cares about Weezer, right?
Sure.
And like they look at it like, wow, this kid's got some balls on him.
Well, I think of it though when I get a letter like that on a bad day. And I'm not like, ha ha ha. I'm like, rage.
Yeah, it's the idea
I
of
kick them, and I'm like, oh,
feeling
like
like
when you
ACL.
jumped off the couch.
it's that feeling of like that you deserve something for being a fan of somebody. And I think that's the hard thing to grapple with.
Sure.
And like, I do have that. Like obviously Q&5, Tone Deaf, all that stuff. I've been such a fan of them from the beginning to an extent that I feel like it is partly mine. It's not. It's what I need to remember. It's not. Like it's a part of me and I'm a huge part of it. And it's definitely like there's a relationship there, but at the end of the day, it's not my thing. So it's like they can make their decisions and I can agree or disagree with them. But I feel like there's like a level of respect you need to show. It's fine to be critical, but it's the way that you kind of give that message to somebody. Because tell them, hey, you're doing this wrong. You should be doing this, even though you clearly think that. Not the best way to handle it necessarily. And I think that there's so much that goes on that you don't know. You only get one side of it. I think for me, a perfect example of this is Eminem. Huge fan of Eminem. And I think it gets hard because when you're a fan of something, you are the most critical of it because you like it that much.
You're protective of it.
Eminem, one of my favorite rappers, one of my favorite artists of all time. I can tell you so many facts about details of songs and like lines and everything. And when you get from his first album, second album, third album, we can have a multi-hour long discussion about why I like this aspect more than that aspect of these albums or whatever. Then you start going on past that and it starts to be like, oh, well, it's not as good as the first three. And it's like, then it just starts to become this like kind of negative conversation. Even if I enjoyed things about them, you're talking about the negatives or this isn't as good as that. And I've never spoke to Eminem, so I've never had to deal with that. But I have thought about this of if I were to talk to Eminem, what would I talk to him about? And I feel like the thing I want to talk about is, hey, what happened? Or why did you do Relapse? Why did you do that album? Like what?
Right.
Like what went through your head that was like, I'm going to use an accent for the entire thing? And it's like instead of focusing on all the good, I immediately jumped to like all the things I didn't like about somebody that I love, and that's a problem. And I had that moment with Bernie Burns at Rooster Teeth. Red versus Blue, such an important thing in my development, in my career, my life, and the first time I was hanging out with him, or one of the first times I was hanging out with him, like we were really talking about stuff. And I found myself like one of the first things I started doing was being like, man, like the CG stuff's really good once you started going there. Why are you still like doing the same like stupid dick jokes and stuff? Like we want the story. Like it feels like such a waste. And then it wasn't until I went home afterwards, I'm like, man, he took that really well, but I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Like I should have just, and it's not just about focusing on the good. It's just don't focus on the bad. You can bring up the bad. You can say things like, oh man, I loved season 9 because this and this. Didn't totally like this because of this reason, but whatever. But instead, it inevitably turns into this thing of you almost are trying to prove to the person that you look up to that you know their work so well, and it's like, well, obviously they know I like them. So I'm going to point out all the things that I noticed that no one else noticed. You know?
And that's the big thing, I think, with even me, I've told that, the story about hate online and trying to be better online in terms of giving out positive feedback rather than negative. And how, like, when I was, going to tweet at the office, how bad it was. And like include actors and shit. And it was like, man, people do that to me, and I know that they follow me. I know they're fans, but it's the same thing with Yelp, what I always talk about, right? Where it's like, I noticed one day all my Yelp reviews were negative because I'm not motivated when I have a good experience to go say, man, what a great experience this was. It's when somebody pisses me off that I want to go tell them. And usually it's somewhere if it's on Twitter or something, I have 140 characters to tell this creator or talk about this creation. And I just want to get through my most salient thought. And my most salient thought is, this boss battle sucks. This episode's no good. Why is this? And I'm not saying that I love it. I'm letting you try to read between the lines, and most people would get that. But when you don't have the full context, it just does come off as people being dicks to be dicks.
Yeah, and the being a dick thing, it's hard to not do because you feel this sense of entitlement over things that you enjoy, especially if you pay for, and especially like all that stuff. I remember one of the very first Tone Deaf concerts I ever went to. It was me, and there was like a group of people that I didn't personally know, but I knew from the internet because we were friends in this community. And we were at this show, and Tone was at the merch table selling shirts. And I went up and I saw him, and he looked at me, and he saw my face, and he's like, "Oh, you're the dude in the yellow shirt on your profile picture." And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah!" And it was like a great moment where I was like, "Holy shit, he knows who I am."
He's like, I hate yellow shirts.
He's like, "This is great." It was such a moment for me. And then the guy behind me went up to him and he was like, "Oh, hey, do you recognize me? Like, I'm the guy and like he started talking about his profile picture, and you could see Tone kind of like struggled with it and was just like he just didn't know who this guy was, and the dude got kind of like upset. He was like, "Oh man, like damn, and I forgot what he said. It wasn't even bad. It wasn't bad, but it was enough that I was just like, ooh." Like,
it's enough to take the wins out of the sails, because as a creator and like as a personality, like I feel bad when I'm like, it happens to me all the time at a meet and greet. I'll shake your hand, and I'm usually really good with faces, but I've seen so many faces now that I'll shake your hand and be like, "Great to meet you." I'm like, "Oh, well, actually we met at a Comic-Con like 4 years ago."
Yeah.
And I'll go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And 9 times out of 10, it's, "Oh, don't worry about it. No, you meet too many people. I get it, but I still feel awful."
Exactly.
I want to remember everyone. I want to have a conversation with everybody. I look over at the Kind of Funny game somebody made. I want to remember who made that, and I can't.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Is like, for me, it's happened where I'm like, "Oh, I've seen you. It was at PAX East." He's like, "RTX." I'm like, "Sorry, but I'm trying here."
Yeah.
But with this Tone Deaf situation, I remember it very vividly because I remember thinking, I was like, "Man, that guy like really like didn't handle that well."
Yeah.
Like why do you do that? But I remember going home and thinking like, well, what if it was the other way around? Like, what if this guy was in front of me and he had recognized him and not me? Like, I definitely would have felt entitled. Like, you should know who the fuck I am. And I remember thinking like, how would I have handled that? And it probably wouldn't have been too much different. I totally could have been the guy being like, well, I'm also that guy. And it's just like, I think that is the part that's hard to struggle with, this being a bad fan, because when you are such a fan, I think by default, you need to then actively try to not be bad. In terms of what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a line or a distinction that needs to be made between critical feedback and negative feedback, right? And this is always something I say, like whenever I jump in comments on things and people have critical feedback for me, I thank them for that, because I'm like, I really do appreciate that you love this thing so much that we're doing that you want, you have a couple pieces of feedback that you'd like to see happen. That to me is super positive. And I think it really is just all how you frame it with people and how you frame it with creators that you love, because you do love this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And there is an aspect of it that is very intimate, especially when you're talking about a product like a podcast, where people spend hours. Like, I spend hours and hours and hours listening to certain people that do podcasts. Like, I know more about Joe Rogan than I probably do about my wife, and I pry a lot into my wife. Like, I kind of like stalk her a little bit. I'm getting off on a tangent, but the point is, like, so when you like something that much and you want to give that feedback, it then becomes, how do you do it, right? How do you do it without sounding like that kid that was in line, right? Who's serious, who's hurt. And I think to the credit of a lot of people that support us, again, 9 out of 10 times, it's, hey, I really like this. Like, I see it all the time with the animated show where people go, hey, I love this. I don't, whether or not you care if it's on time or whenever it dropped, great. I would love it if this were longer. Right. And that's a positive thing for me to hear, because I'm like, great, you like this so much, you want more of it. That's cool. I wish I could make it longer. We can't. Economics, can't get into that in the comments. But so I like that, and I always respect that, because it is a two-way street, right? You don't want people to just love you unconditionally, right?
Absolutely.
Because then you can't grow as an artist, you can't grow as a creator. You need that feedback. We have to have each other. This is how this relationship works. And so to that degree, like, you know, I kind of disagree with you a little bit in that I feel like people who do consume the content do have a level of ownership over it. Now, granted, you know, they're not here working on it every day, but it is because of them that it is a two-way street in that regard, right? One can't exist without the other. So there is an importance to be placed on that, but you do have to stay positive all the time. You have to be able to render both criticisms and praise in a positive light if you want to exist in that environment yourself. That's all I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Made sense to me.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Nick,
Yeah.
what's your topic?
Super important topic. What's the coldest you've ever been?
Where does this stem from?
Welcome
This morning,
to the Game Over Greggy show.
I walked into the office. Now,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me back up. Let me
Please,
preface.
paint me a picture.
Let me paint
I hate
you-
it when you jump right to the pop.
Let me paint
I
you a
want a
picture.
little foreplay.
2 days ago, for some ungodly reason, the weather decided to go real cold, real fast. And I don't like it. Now, I like it because I like that it's wintry and I like that it's a holiday time, but I don't like it because then I have to be cold like every goddamn night until the sun decides to pop back up. Then we walked into here today, and you're noticeably agitated for a number of reasons, but I think it's because you're cold. And I ask you, and you're like, yes, I am cold because it's fucking cold in here. And I tell you, Greg, we've got a heater in this place. And you're like, no, we don't.
I did not say no. I think maybe I said I did not know that.
You were like something to the extent where you're like, you're a fucking asshole.
We
Stop, you know?
absolutely
Did
do
not
not
say that.
have a heater.
I did not
That's
say
what
that.
he said. No.
Oh, that's what he said. He was like, yeah.
It's,
he's like,
it's
you're-
amazing that I can be agitated here.
You're a lying sack of shit, is what he said to me. Not what I'm saying to him, but I'm kind of inferring that.
What was he saying to you that he said to you?
He was basically like,
said, I
I
don't
think
know.
you're a bull-faced liar and we don't have a heater and you should stop doing drugs. And I was like, well, you know, we'll take that apart piece by piece. I'm not a liar, but I should stop doing drugs. I digress. It got me thinking, yeah, I'm fucking cold, man. And I'm uncomfortable when I'm cold. So what's the coldest you guys have ever been? Greg, you come from a place where it snows. Tim, you grew up 3 hours from a place where it snows. I've been to that place a few times.
Tahoe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, there's multiple times that come to mind of those were the coldest times I've ever been in my life. One time I got dragged to a NFL All-Star game that was in San Francisco.
Why would you go to that?
Curran's mom's sister worked for somebody that got free tickets.
This is the
and-
Pro Bowl, right?
Pro Bowl. That's what it was. Yeah, I don't fucking know.
I'm just helping.
So we went to this thing, and oh man, my nips were so hard.
Hard as ice, huh?
They fucking hurt. They hurt so bad for days after that. Because I was out there, and I'm just like, why? Why is this so cold? I didn't have a jacket. I was just wearing like a t-shirt or whatever. And I was just like, I'm watching this thing that I don't fucking like. I'm at a place surrounded by people I don't like, and it's so cold. I think that's why I hate football. Is that
That's
it
what
was
stems
that
from.
instant. It was
you
so
know, you
damn
can watch
cold.
football in the comfort of your own living room.
Oh, trust me, and nothing about it is appealing. But the cold was definitely the worst thing
Sure.
about that. Another time was with Kevin, where we were in Santa Cruz and we decided to go into the water at the beach, and it was like 5:30, so like the sun was setting, and we're like, fuck it, we're just gonna do it. And we didn't have swim trunks or anything, so we just went in with our shorts, and we thought it was funny, like let's just go in with our clothes. So we did, and it was not funny when our wet t-shirts, we then had to
Didn't dry.
walk like 2.5 miles back to the hotel at night, and it was just, that was fucking horrible. But the worst cold I've ever had, ever, bar none, Philadelphia, when I went there.
Interesting.
Single-handedly, it was that freezing feeling on me of why I hate Philadelphia and think it's the worst place I've ever been.
A lot of
For
people
sure.
will agree with
Do you
you.
remember
That
that
place
time
fucking sucks.
in Tahoe when it was springtime? The water was like all the ice was melting, and we were like swimming in the lake.
Yeah, we did a lot of dumb things. If there
And
was
it was
water,
just-
we were in it. But yeah, like in Philadelphia, it was like, I felt like it was illegal for it to be that cold. Somebody should have done something. Somebody should have talked to somebody and been like, you know what? There's a curfew. You're not allowed to leave your house. Here, the government's giving everybody heaters.
Yeah.
We'll get through this together, guys. But instead, they let us run amok in these fucking streets. And in Philadelphia, it's designed like Boston. Like some fucking idiot kindergartner was just like, hey, draw a map of the city. And he was like, here's a bunch of fucking lines. And I'm like, none of this makes sense. There's no grid system at all. So then taxis are like, if you want to get a taxi, you have to cross the street. But to cross the street, you need to freaking freeze to death.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm here
Like
right
the
now.
maze from Westworld.
Fuck
Greg.
the cold.
Hi.
You grew up in somewhere close to Chicago.
Right, the burbs.
Yeah. Did it snow there where you grew up?
Oh my God, you kidding me? It snowed all the time.
What? So
You understand that, backyard wrestling.
yeah.
Start taking notes because you need this for the documentary. The front yard is where we did all the regular shows.
Yeah.
Your Monday Night Raws or whatever is what you call them, right? And then every when we did 4 shows, that meant it was time for one of the monthly pay-per-views. And so the monthly pay-per-views were in the backyard where we, make things and have like entrances, like we'd make like actual stages or sets, you know what I mean, to come out of and stuff.
Can I
Yes,
ask?
go ahead.
How many people would be there to watch this unfold? Was it just
The
the
other
people that were
wrestlers.
wrestling? That was it.
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
never a crowd that you guys. You never thought to invite anyone
Once
to
in a
watch
while, our neighbors, my neighbors, would come out and watch from afar to
this?
see what these idiots are doing.
When they were watching, were they doing this?
Oh yeah, big time.
Just shaking their heads back and
Big
forth,
time
like,
shaking their heads. They were
one
not
of these
having. They
kids
were
is
not
gonna
part
die.
of this.
Got it.
The front yard though, because when it started in the school year or whatever. So we're wrestling outside in the fall into winter or whatever, and we called it the arena. The front yard was called the BYWF Tundra,
Right.
Because it would just be out there, and it would just like trees are just skeletons, of course. The grass, if it's not covered in snow, the grass is just that dead brown, but the dead like light yellow brown where there's like
Yeah.
no color to it, and then the wind just whips.
But you know it's
And
razor sharp.
The whole reason we call it the Tundra is because the first time you ever watched the footage back from one of these wrestling when it got really bad, it was just and us yelling over, like just talking or whatever, and it's like, okay, we got to play this into the canon of this, and we call it the
I
BYWF
hope to
Tundra.
God you have all those videos still.
Still do, yeah, still do. We need to digitize them.
I will help you do that.
Thank you very much.
That
We
is
need to do
genius.
that. So yeah, I'm familiar with the cold. It's one of the like. Here's the thing about cold, and you guys,
Never bothered you anyway?
Thank you very much. I like that one. The thing about
let
the
it go.
cold, I will.
Let it go.
The thing about the cold, when you grow up in a cold place, is that it's impossible to narrow it down.
Sure.
What is the coldest moments of your life, really? Because there's like, it's just how it is. You're used to it. It's the thought of going out into the cold that sucks, but you immediately get used to it. You immediately know what it is. Like when I was going up to Montreal, Jen's like, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be cold. I got there. I was like, this ain't shit. And she's like, it's gonna get worse. I'm like, I know it's gonna get worse, but don't be warning me at this. This isn't bad at all.
Did you just do the thing that Greg Miller does, where no matter how cold it is, you wear a sweatshirt?
Yeah, that's what you do. Because this is the thing about it. Like, first off, people always freak out about the cold of like, oh, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing that you're so worried about the cold? You go from your car to the restaurant to the whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. As a kid, that's when it gets you. That's when, because you got to learn these lessons.
Right.
But when I think of the coldest I've ever been, I'm thinking of I'm 10, so we'll say 1993. Maybe I'm 7, so 1990, somewhere in there, right? Let's check out. Yeah.
Sure.
Big Greg Miller, the crane operator, wants to get big old Jamie Kennedy this Christmas gift from downtown. So I tag along with him, and we go downtown, we park, and we come up on Michigan Avenue, and I'll never forget this. We come up and we round the corner, and the wind hits me blowing through the streets, and it literally was like a ghost train drove through me and took everything away. Because like all the wind got sucked out of my body, and I grabbed my dad, and I'm like, I grabbed my dad because I'm all small or
And
whatever.
he's just shaking his head like, God damn it.
Yeah, he hates me.
This is my son.
But like, so there's that. And then it's I like you bring up sleeping when I in Missouri when we were in the Antler house or whatever, which was like a cheap shitty fucking house that probably is the reason I have cancer, but like wasn't insulated at all, no storm windows or anything. Like we would go, Kyle Hayes would go out and buy that that pink lining you put in your attic. You know what I'm talking about here? Mm-hmm. The padded pink
Asbestos,
lining.
yeah.
and he would just line the windows with it and then duct tape that around it. But then like I remember going to bed in the Antler house and I would put on 2 pairs of sweatpants and 2 hoodies and lay down and sleep in that because that's how bad it was.
Sounds so sweaty.
Yeah, well, then that's the big thing about it. Well, because it was so cold, it never was. But when you're a kid and you're like, I'm thinking about cold stories, and I'm thinking about like the time me, Eric, and Mike got dropped off at a park and then wandered out around in the snow and ended up pooping in the bushes then too. And then we didn't know where we were and we didn't have cell phones, so then we saw Ozzy's Diner. You know what I mean? The county seat. Yeah. We went in there. I knew those people. We had a phone. We were able to call family and friends. But like when you go sledding, when you go whatever, you're built for that. You're putting on the snow pants and the thing. I always sweated in that crap because you're out there. And it's not like I was ever out and then the blizzard caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, okay. This whole thing reminded me of something I can't believe I didn't bring up. Our story.
Boston.
Yeah. AKA the Great Freeze.
Oh God.
Well, there was multiple moments where I'm like, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to die. So me and Nick decide to walk back to the hotel from PAX
It
East.
wasn't that, well, yeah, we made a poor choice. I think it was based on good information, though, because I think the cab stand was like fucking ridiculous.
Cab was crazy because PAX East is a fucking nightmare, and that convention center is stupid.
Now, if it had been PAX East this last time we went, which I believe was later in the year, so there was no snow on the ground,
we would have been
would've
fine. But it wasn't. It was blizzard. There's those walls of snow. It's like Game of Thrones with just the walls everywhere.
Yeah.
And again, going back to what I was saying, a kindergartner drew the map of this place. So there's no streets that make sense. So in order to navigate, like you need to just walk in these narrow chasms of snow walls. And we're doing this and we're just like, we're totally fine. And it was about 2 miles away.
Yep.
A 2 mile walk. Not that bad. But I think we got maybe 3 blocks in and we're both just like, we're going to die.
So we should preface, light jackets, no gloves, no beanie.
And this is the thing of
anything.
cutting back to, we've told the story so many times. Cutting back to Colin and I, Colin's in a windbreaker, I'm in a hoodie.
Yeah.
And we're fine. This is life.
You guys are totally fine.
But you also taxied and didn't have to walk
Yeah.
2 miles
I
of
could have
death.
done it though. I could have done it, no problem.
You couldn't have. You would have died. You're weak-willed.
It's
You're
possible.
like me, Greg. I get it. You're one of us. And by us, I mean me and you. We are who we are. We do what we do. But me and Nick went to a Walgreens.
You stopped at like 14 places, right?
Yeah, we bought beanies. We bought gloves. We got hot chocolate. Nick got a hot chocolate.
Yeah.
That's how desperate he was.
I was like, because there was no coffee because the guy was closing. I was like, well, what do you have? And he's like, all we have is hot chocolate.
And
I'm
we
like,
stopped at multiple places.
it.
And we got to a point that we went to like a bus station where like begging them to just let us stay inside for a while because
Yeah.
they kept places were kicking us out because they're like, you guys can't just stand it here.
Now you would think you're like, why in this technological age would you not just get an Uber or go get a taxi? And the answer was because they were all over the fucking convention center. Ubers
And they were
we
walled
just
off from these
couldn't
snow
get
walls.
to them, yeah, because the snow walls. And the taxis were just you can't find them. So but then we did the bravado like man thing where we're like, well, we've come this far.
Yeah.
At every point we're like, we've come. It can't possibly be farther than this. We're doing the walking directions on our phone.
Yeah.
And
So
it
then we
was
had to hold
farther.
our phones.
Yeah, it was terrible.
See, that's the thing is, yeah, it's just, you weren't ready for it. You weren't, you haven't been bred. You weren't like Bane. Chicagoans, New York people, we were born into this.
Yeah.
Because I think of like, when you said this topic, I immediately jumped to like, for the longest time, it was, I didn't come home until Christmas. And so when I came home to Christmas, we'd go to like the second to last Bears game at the end of December. So we're outside Soldier Field with the lake effect snow and the wind whipping through that parking lot, sitting there trying to barbecue and do all this terrible stuff and get wasted. But we're also wearing 15 layers and we
Right.
all bought the hand warmer things you break in, at
Yeah,
Walgreens,
I
you
love
open the
those
package, you put them in your gloves.
I don't understand why people live in a lot of places.
Now, I
don't
agree
get that
with
either.
that. I will agree as somebody who has left the Midwest and fled.
Mm-hmm.
I go back there in the summer and the fucking signs are melting. You go back there in the winter, everybody's dying. I'm like, well, you don't have to be here.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to be here.
Here's the thing. People complain, San Francisco, it's so expensive, whatever. There's a lot of issues. But guess what? We don't have seasons. There's rain every once in a while. There's like 3 days it's hot. It's a minor annoyance. It's pretty annoying when
You
it
hate that.
happens.
Those days
It's
you are
real. Those-
the most annoying human being on the planet.
Yeah. But it's not LA. I don't need to
know.
deal with this fucking scorching heat.
The
It's not
smog.
New York. I don't need to deal with the heat. And, like New York is probably the worst offender because you got to deal with all types of shit. They're throwing the sun at you. They're throwing the fucking blizzard at you. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to get by, guys.
Yeah.
You go into the subway, no matter what time of year it is, it's hot as fuck down
Yeah.
there. Stinking up a storm.
Sure.
Man,
Smell like dead rats.
I'm happy I'm here. We made a good choice, Kev.
You guys didn't make any choice.
You just
were
stayed.
born here.
That was a
didn't
choice.
leave.
That was a
You didn't
choice. We didn't leave. We didn't go to freaking. Oh god, there's so many stupid ass places.
Yeah, I think the only other time I've been that cold is in Tahoe on like skiing. But I think there was one time specifically where we skied 2 days in a row, and I'm not that great of a skier. And I'm definitely not built to handle the second day in a row. So I was kind of dreading the second day anyway. But I went because we do it every. We don't get to go up there that often. And it started to snow, and I'd never skied when it was snowing before because normally I go when it's not snowing, or if it's a snow, it's a light snow. We're on the lift stops, and it's like someone hit the button to make it snow more, and it starts coming down, and you start getting that weird uncomfortable feeling. First off, your ass goes numb because you're on the ski lift. Second off, no matter what you do, your nose starts running, but you can't stop it from running because your glove's wet. So as you're rubbing the glove on your nose to try to get it, whatever, and then it's like the sandpapery wet feeling on your nose, then your nose goes numb. Then your eyes start to water, right? Then you get the snowy vagina. Are you familiar with this?
No.
You look down into your crotch and it's all white and it looks like a snowy vagina, right? And you haven't realized, you're like, how long has that snow been there? Can I feel my dick anymore? I can't feel my dick anymore. When am I getting off this goddamn lift? And then by then, of course, you're so zapped for energy that then you have to ski down the fucking hill, which takes energy. That's when you go to the lodge. and get yourself a Bloody Mary or 3, and you don't go back out. But that was one of the coldest times I've ever been. Luckily, I was with 2 other people on the lift, so it was fun. But I'm like, this is fucking miserable because you're high up, and then it's that like dead quiet because it's snowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When
yeah.
it starts to snow, it gets so quiet, and you can just hear. You can't really see what's going on below you, but you're so cold and you're shivering, and you hear like your hands just like clamoring against the metal of the cage that should be down, but it's not because you're supposed to be fucking cool and not worry about the safety. And then you'll see one kid. You'll just hear a kid eat it, and you're like, I wonder if that kid's still alive. Maybe he froze to death down there in this fucking frozen wilderness that we're up here. And then you get down, and it's all fine.
I do love snow.
But the good thing about being the cold is then after that day actually turned out, of course, beautiful. It was a fun day. But then we go back to where we were staying, and it's super warm, and there's dogs, and we cooked, and it was like, man, it was a blast. Always a blast. But I will say, coming from Southern California, I vastly prefer the hot heat
No, God, no.
to the cold any day of the week.
Hot sucks.
Any day.
Hot sucks. I'd rather I don't like either of them, but I'd rather be cold than hot. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy show each and every week. 3, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny where you can back us for some money. You can get your topics read. You can get phone calls with us. You can get a bunch of cool stuff. And most importantly, get the show early each and every week. But if you have no bucks to toss, no big deal. You can head over to youtube.com/kindafunny and get the show broken up topic by topic, day by day, until we post the big thing the following week. Now, as always, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Next week, the return of Colin Moriarty and a very special guest.
Oh.